Welcome back to the party, everybody. This is Morty, and I am your host, Lutch, aka TheIndianJesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Everybody hit that like and subscribe. You know I would do it for you, and let's party. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Very good to see you guys. If I seem tired, it's because I was taking a nap, and I woke up like 7 minutes ago. But we here, we ready to party. We're actually going to jump back a little bit earlier this year when Candace Owens had Nick Fuentes on her show. We just covered when Candace was on Tucker's show, and they were throwing jabs at Nick, and then Nick responded, and it kind of blew up everywhere. And I realized, I've never really done anything close to a deep dive on Nick Fuentes. I mean, I've heard a lot that I'm like, I don't need it, but let's give him a shot. As always, guys, if you cannot hear the video, please do let me know.
Politics was a passion for you.
Yes.
Okay. You mentioned that you're Catholic.
Yes.
Raised cradle Catholic, you said.
Yes.
Mom and dad in the home.
Yes.
Okay. So I think on your show, somebody told me that you mentioned your mom a lot. Were they together married?
Yes.
Okay. So your parents are still married.
Yes.
So you come from a pretty good home, it sounds like, obviously. So have a good relationship with your parents.
Mm-hmm.
And you went to Boston University.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's going great for you. You kind of should be, like you said, maybe offered a contributorship on Fox News, and your whole life kind of gets derailed.
Right.
Where I'm going to push back on you is to say that you didn't have the...
Before we do that, let's shout out our boy, Dylan Soup. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party. So you can see that I jumped ahead a little bit. Basically, what he was talking about was giving his version of why he does what he does, and basically, how he was very interested in politics, and then how he came to learn about Israel. And so he's kind of just telling that story, what you would expect him to say to put himself in the best light. So Candace is like, well,
and your whole life kind of gets derailed.
Right.
Where I'm going to push back on you is to say that you didn't have this anger where you applied it to everyone, because and I don't have this clip, but I know that recently, and this was after I was fired from the Daily Wire, you kind of went on the attack about me speaking to Dave Smith, right?
Mm-hmm.
And saying, actually, I think we do have that clip. Skylar, I think we do have that clip of me speaking to Dave Smith. Do you want to run that clip?
She has nothing to do with me. She wants nothing to do with me. Doesn't do anything with me. No invitation. Won't bring me on the space. Won't bring me on the show.
Yikes.
No acknowledgement, nothing. But she is going to do a show with Dave Smith, Jew, Aiden Ross. And I like Aiden Ross. I've said that before. I like Aiden Ross. But it's like you get canceled and attacked by Jews, and then you go and give it away to all the Jews, really? And finally, Aiden asks her, so what are your thoughts on Nick Fuentes? And she gives this load of PC response. She goes, well, when he was a kid, he got attacked by them. And I understand why he would be angry and why he would be mad about that. But he needs to grow up and figure out what he wants to do. Oh, really? Oh, really? Bafangul, Candace. Oh, he needs to figure out what he wants to do. I think you need to figure that out. Talk about accusing other people of that which you are guilty. I think he needs to figure out what he wants to do.
See, if it was a show, we could call projection. But no, I think you're projecting that she is projecting. Shout out to King Nirvana. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party. And yeah, that's exactly the thing that I have come to learn a lot about the issues that are going on with Israel and the governments between our countries and stuff. And I'm very open to that. But when you're like, Jew, like, what? What does that have to do with anything? And that's why I'm glad Candace is holding them to account. Welcome to the party.
You need to figure out what you want to do, because you're full of and everyone knows it. You clearly have no idea what you're doing.
No idea what I am doing.
True.
I would say not true. I would say she is headed to the stratosphere.
What do you mean?
You didn't invite me on the show.
But what,
Bro,
what
you're there right now. You're there right
does
now.
that, just let's first go back to the first layer of what you're talking about. She's speaking of Dave Smith. Yeah. What does that have to do with anything? You call out the fact that I spoke to Dave Smith, that I spoke to Aiden Ross. I didn't speak to them because they were Jewish. I also talked to Piers Morgan, all of these shows following me being fired. So you're just looking at the fact that these two, I didn't even know Aiden Ross was Jewish. I just had a PR agent say, do this. I swear I didn't know.
He's visibly Jewish.
Okay, but just so we're very clear, I genuinely had no idea. Your PR person comes, here are the shows. Okay, yes. Dave Smith, we had a amazing conversation when I was on the Daily Wire. And so your purview here is, okay, well, they're Jewish and she's doing their shows while not saying to your audience she's doing a bunch of other shows too. How is that not you just kind of honing in before we get to the why you think I'm full of shit and don't know what I'm doing?
Well, here's the beef, okay? And it's pretty simple.
So again, well, all that we skipped is like, look, I did some reading and I learned that, it could be that Israel's this and, the Holocaust and that, and he's trying to downplay it all. But then Candace shows the clip and we see you for who you really are.
Dave Smith, in my opinion, and I like Dave because I've done a show with Dave too, and I think he's a good guy. I respect him. I think he's super intelligent. And, he gave me a chance when a lot of people wouldn't. He had me on his show and he defended me because he got attacked a lot from the libertarians.
And that's why you suck, because you get somebody who comes out and defends you and has you on the show when you're being canceled, and then you throw him under the bus because I don't even know what your beef is. It's like, why not just have...
Well, it's that he's a Jew.
Be totally like, oh yeah, that was cool. We had a conversation. I disagree with him on some points.
Well, here's why. Because I don't think that I should be grateful for being given a chance.
It's not being...
You should. I would be very grateful to have a chance to be in front of any audience that Dave Smith was allowing me to be in front of. You absolutely should be grateful for that.
Grateful is just being a decent enough human being. Forget gratefulness. You don't owe anybody anything.
Okay.
But the point is...
Well, I think those are two different things. I would be grateful. I don't think that just because some bigger creator would have me on their show, and even if it did blow up my career, maybe colloquially, I might say, oh, I owe my career to them. But there would never be an understanding on either side of that unless they were crazy. That like, oh, you owe me this, that, or the other.
Is you kind of lament the fact that you've been canceled. You lament the fact when nobody will have your platform. And in the very same breath, talk about being a hypocrite, you're going after Dave Smith for what? Like, why is she doing Dave Smith? Jew.
Well, I'll tell you. Can I explain why? I'm telling you why.
It's just it's so dirty to just talk like that. Like, if you have an intellectual reason as to why Jewish people are bad, then do that. But it's just so ugly.
So my feeling on Dave Smith, and although I like him, is that, look, he is Jewish. He's also a libertarian, which means that, when he talks about, for example, the situation in Iran or Israel, he's an anti-war guy. He says, Trump is a war criminal who needs to be impeached. I don't believe in any of that. I don't care that Trump violated international law. I care that he's in...
I would argue that every American president, at least in the last 50 years, has been a war criminal.
Influenced by a foreign government. He said on another show, he said, Israel's a satellite of the U.S. We're the empire, and they're our satellite. They're like our aircraft carrier in the Middle East, which is something Joe Biden said, who's an AIPAC man. I think that Dave Smith is somebody who, because he's a paleo-libertarian, like Murray Rothbard, like Ron Paul, like a lot of these guys, he is someone who, because he's anti-war, is sort of forced to confront the Israel lobby. Because if you're anti-war ideologically, you have to talk about who's driving it, which is the Israel lobby.
Bro, I haven't been following Dave that long, but I'm pretty sure he was talking about Israel when you were still in diapers.
But he's not somebody...
At least grade school.
But he's not a religious Christian. He's a religious Jew or agnostic.
Yeah, he's agnostic atheist. What are you talking about, bro?
He's not a religious Christian. He's a religious Jew or agnostic or atheist.
And notice how some of you will see, different religions on the same level and then atheist as below. Notice how he put being Jewish on the same level as atheism.
He's not a religious Christian. He's a religious Jew or agnostic or atheist. He's not
really a right-wing guy. He's a libertarian. He's
not a
liberal.
religious Jew.
And he doesn't proclaim to be a right-wing guy.
He says that he's proud of being Jewish. He's proud of his ethnicity. He's proud of Judaism.
Should he not be proud?
Has he said that? I feel like I don't think that that's something. I mean, maybe solicited. Be like, do you care? Are you proud to be Jewish? Then, I mean, like, yeah, I guess. But I don't see Dave just outright being like, I'm proud to be Jewish. Not that he would be ashamed, but just that, just like the woke people. This is just identity politics that doesn't matter. Dave doesn't care much. Like I don't care about these types of things. If you're white, if you're black, I mean, it's your ideas that matter.
That he's like, he's just born this way.
Well, but here's the point, though, is so he's not really 100% aligned with my view. Now,
how dare you?
Not 100% aligned with Nick Fuentes? Oh my goodness, that is the worst thing I've ever heard.
Here's why that matters. I think that
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
No, it does.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. I'll tell you why.
It doesn't.
It
You
does.
can't say I want to create people in the image of myself.
No, but
That's
I'm
completely ridiculous.
Sounds like you're trying to be God. That's not very Christian. That's not very Christian.
I want to create people in the image of myself.
But
That's
I'm
completely ridiculous.
I'm criticizing people that I disagree with. And to put it very succinctly, I think that this conversation about Israel has blown up. It's gotten out of their control. Everyone's getting red-pilled. They want to control the conversation. And I think that Dave Smith is somebody that because he's Jewish.
You just said you don't want to talk to somebody because they're not exactly aligned with you. And then what that other people...
They want to control the conversation. And I think that Dave Smith is somebody that because he's Jewish, because he's libertarian, they have selected him as a
Who is they?
convenient spokesperson for it. Because he doesn't really have a problem with Jews and their Jewishness. He doesn't really talk about the whole fifth column aspect of it. He talks about a very narrow aspect of it, which is there's this Israel lobby and they're sort of influential and they're driving us to war. That's one small selection
So
of
you
it.
think just to
Yeah, that's and that's Dave's position, and that's my position, that I don't like Israel, but for very different reasons than Nick's talking about. I've still yet to hear an actual reason as to why the Jewish part matters. I understand the Israel part. What does an American Jew have to do with that? What is their Jewishness, to use his word? What is that? I don't understand how that plays into the equation. And I never get any farther. And he's been saying, here's the point, here's the bottom line. But he hasn't said anything yet.
Influential and they're driving us to war. That's one small selection
So you
of it.
think, just to clarify, you think he's like a psychological operation?
Yeah, effectively, yes.
Okay.
And
Dave Smith, the psyop. I mean, what do you even say to that?
I don't think he's doing that knowingly, but I think that they're creating the bounds of the debate by having him be the spokesperson because
Who is choosing him as a spokesperson? I mean,
Joe Rogan,
I
Piers
could not
Morgan.
disagree with that.
Yeah, Joe Rogan, the head of the Jewish lobby. Huh?
spokesperson because
Who is choosing him as a spokesperson? I mean,
Joe Rogan,
I
Piers
could not
Morgan.
disagree with that more. I just want to say that I patently disagree with you on this one. This is crazy.
I said, shit, me too.
I think that he has moved the ball forward so much for, first and foremost, a lot of American Jews to have the courage to even question Israel, because in the same way that we were kind of brought up in the classroom with the, I guess you want to call it emotional engineering around the Holocaust, learning about the Holocaust as like the biggest, most evil event that ever happened.
Yeah, and same thing, if you guys have been here for a while, you'll remember that on October 7th, I had other people on to talk about Israel and Palestine and Gaza and all that stuff, because I didn't really know. And at that point, I was willing to accept the Israel good, Hamas bad. I'm simplifying that. The people weren't saying it straight up like that. But they were, justifying what Israel was doing. And obviously a lot's been done since then. But the point is, I forgot what the point is.
Imagine if you're around the Holocaust, learning about the Holocaust is like the big.
Oh yeah, learning about all of this stuff. It has changed, and it has shown that there are real issues with the Israeli government. But when you undercut it with the identity politics, just like the woke do, you have a weaker message. Shout out to K-Ram. Welcome to the party. Very good to see ya. He said if he was, he would be the most unbeatable psyop ever. So far, so far. I mean, that is kind of what Nick is saying. Nick is trying to say that the reason he's so popular and the reason he's so loved is because they want him to be. Not that he has shown himself to have the track record of being right all the way through Russiagate, being right all the way through COVID, being right in every single debate he's ever been in, except the one where he got kind of, sucker punched, so to speak, with Andrew Wilson. But every other single debate, he's been unbeatable.
Classroom with the, I guess you want to call it emotional engineering around the Holocaust, learning about the Holocaust is like the biggest, most evil event that ever happened. Imagine if you're Jewish and you learn about that. It's the same way that Black Americans in the classrooms learn about slavery. So I understood the trigger emotional response that Black Americans had during BLM because there was so much conditioning that happened in the classroom that makes them think that when someone says white supremacy is back, you have to riot. And I will extend that same understanding. I disagree with it, but I understand that when October 7th happens, it's almost like a childhood trauma for these people. Right. You learn this, your whole existence, it's existential crisis for you that something happened in Israel. And then you add in the fact that the ADL is sponsoring these trips to kind of make sure that they stay into this, this is who you are. And if somebody questions this, like we could end up in the Holocaust again, you have to have some sort of an understanding, even if they're wrong, right? You have to give them a little bit of time, a little bit.
And that comes with maturity. Obviously, I think he's like 20 something right now. And he's younger, but the idea of solipsism, that I see the world this way, so others must see it this way too. That's not exactly what he is exhibiting, because he's saying, I don't like that other people are seeing things differently than me. But the desire to have everybody be 100% aligned, it's just silly. It's just silly.
Understanding, even if they're wrong, right? You have to give them a little bit of time, a little bit of grace here. And so for him to be doing what he's doing and to be enduring a lot of the same stuff that I'm enduring, like he is on lists, he is being attacked by every single people, all people that are attacking me are certainly attacking Dave Smith. And your excuse is that he just is born Ashkenazi.
No, that's not my excuse.
That's all you've put forth so far. That, and then he's not 100% aligned with you.
My problem.
And he's married to a Catholic, by the way. So that that's the part that I'm even more confused about, because you said like he's a religious Jew. No, he's not. He's married to a Catholic.
What I mean by that is my criticism of Jews comes from a religious place. As a Catholic, we recognize that the Pharisees put Jesus on the cross.
The Romans? Gotcha.
And the Talmudic Jews are the descendants of the Pharisees. And we also recognize...
And he is not...
And so therefore, Dave Smith has some bearing on any of that.
And the Talmudic Jews are the descendants of the Pharisees. And we also recognize...
And he is not a Talmudist. That's what I want to say. But he's not any of those things. He's married to a Catholic. He's just born Ashkenazi. So when I hear you say, Dave Smith, Jew, I think it conflicts with your point about how even white people, like you're just kind of trained that you should just like, there's something wrong with you for being born white. No.
It's the same thing. Like I've been saying for months, this is the woke right. This is the woke right.
About how even white people, like you're just kind of trained that you should just like, there's something wrong with you for being born white. No one should feel guilty about how they're born.
Look, it's
like, you know what I mean?
To sum it up succinctly, it's basically...
it's not going to address that. Just not going to address that. Calls you out directly and says, well, hey, you're doing the same thing the woke left was doing with white people. Just go, well, let's sum it up.
Tokenism is what it is. It's a form of saying, we're criticizing the Jews in Israel. How do we soften and dampen the blow? Because we're going to get called anti-Semites if we bring on a guy criticizing Israel. I know we'll bring on a Jewish person, because then we get to say, I'm not an anti-Semite. Here's a Jewish person saying this. Now, and here's the reason.
That's not why I had Dave Smith on. Actually, I had him on my podcast before I even left the Daily Wire. We had a 3-hour conversation about talking about war, and truly, because I think it's important for you to hear this. I think sometimes you internet too hard. The way that Dave Smith came onto our podcast on Daily Wire, he wasn't even on my radar. Skylar, who you just met, the producer, was a massive Dave Smith fan for years, and just kind of like what the libertarian debate was that was being had. He's like, you got to check out this guy, Dave Smith. I was like, cool, book him. Let's get him on the show. And it was my favorite podcast that I did at Daily Wire. So I just liked him. Okay. That's it. There was no incentive of like, well, let me get this guy on again. I was like, can we
let's get this
create the magic of what we spoke about war? Because I'm kind of falling, I guess, down the rabbit hole and learning a lot. And he had a lot of information I didn't know.
Yeah.
And that was it. So there was nothing behind it. So
and that's the woke part of it, is that in the same way where most normal people, like if you're going to throw around the N-word as an insult to be mean, like most normal people are going to be like, hey, yo, what? Not that you want the law to come down on you, but it's just like, hey, okay, if you're somebody who's going to be, using that like that, that's a different thing. Most people don't do that. And then we move it over to Jewish people, and there's a surprise to me. Dave Smith, Jew, and everybody's like, hey, yeah. I'm like, what? You wouldn't say that. Even if you think you have the right to call people the N-word, hard R, whatever. You can't be surprised that people are not taking your word seriously if you talk like that. But somehow it's supposed to, no, you just don't get it. You just don't get it.
He had a lot of information I didn't know.
Yeah.
And that was it. So there was nothing behind it. So when I hear you say it, I'm like, okay, are you interneting too hard? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A little bit. Do you think that you can kind of believe your own ideas? And look, we're all guilty of that.
No,
but,
and
sure.
Look, I mean, I'm going to stand by my point here, which is that me and Dave Smith are not ideologically on the same page, and will never be, because I am a Catholic and he is Jewish. Because
Why does that matter?
Jewish, he still has affinity with Jewish people, and so
even so, well, if you're not anti-Semitic, then how does the fact that you're a Catholic and he's Jewish, how does that prevent you, or how does that prevent him from getting out of the enemy box? Specifically, if if we're talking about Muslims and Jews, or let's say jihadists and Jews, then if you're a Jewish person, it's totally fair to be like, hey, that guy's a jihadist. I don't want to associate with him. Why? Because he's part of a group that explicitly states that he wants me to die. Okay, fair enough. Well, in this case, you're saying, okay, I'm Catholic and he's a Jew and he's affinity with Jewish people. And that means that I can't get along with him because
my end game is to say, look, Thomas Aquinas said that Jewish people should be basically enserfed to the Catholic Church. I don't believe that. But the idea that we have Jewish people in America that are billionaires, that are running all the major media conglomerates, that are influencing the government, and they take advantage of the dual citizenship.
The fact that we have black people in this country that are billionaires and in the government, like, what are you saying?
It literally cannot be allowed. Like by definition, systematically or systemically, this creates problems. And
now he's literally using woke terminology. It's a systemic problem.
Like by definition, systematically or systemically, this creates problems. And so when I go on my show, I'm saying we can't have Jewish people in government. Like, we can't have them having billions of dollars.
Because I'm here to listen. I'm here to listen. But give me the answer. Why? What does that have to do with anything?
Can't have Jewish people in government. Like, we can't have them having billions of dollars. This is a problem. It's like a national security problem because they are a fifth column. And as evidenced by recent developments,
like,
they're not loyal to America. Now,
I agree
in
with
what
you.
way?
That's why I want to add this. I agree with you on the point that there is this operating fifth column of Zionism.
No.
Okay? No, but I want to be clear, and I'll tell you this is where we disagree.
All right.
Because I think it's ridiculous to say to someone who's literally just born, he's like, I'm Ashkenazi, that is just his DNA, who is married to a Catholic, so you cannot call him a religious Jew. He is not a Zionist. He hasn't even been to Israel.
He's pretty goddamn anti-Israel.
So how do you just condemn him? And then also, how is that not toxic to—
how is that not woke?
To what you're trying to do? So if you're saying that your entire platform is, I want to awaken people to this fifth column. Well, if I'm a Jewish person, okay, and I'm being raised, and maybe I'm worried about Israel because I kind of grew up and was told that I have to care about this because of the Holocaust, whatever it is.
Sure as Shane ain't gonna listen to you, Nick.
And I see this guy who's just going, Jew, guilty, you're a Jew, doesn't matter, DNA, you're 23andMe up there, Jew, guilty, okay? And you think that your ideas are going to grow with that perspective?
Well, they are. So that's happening. But
you're sure, up to a point, you're going to grow because you're the shock jock right now. But at what point do people get, oh, okay, I know what that's all about, and I'm not really about it? I did forget to put the swole goal, guys. Don't forget about the swole goal. 15 super chats of any amount, or a $50 total will have me doing push-ups. I am so puny. Help me bulk up. Thank you. King said is on. He's audience captured, I think. he would collab again with Dave in future, but that's just a feeling. Yeah, I think both of them would be willing to talk. I don't know if it's audience capture or if it's the just the fact that he's trying to push a very specific idea. It doesn't like when you narrow down the idea that much and can say everything is the Jews, then it's easy to bring in low order thinkers who will be able to then throw on their problems. Like, oh yeah, that must be the Jews and that must be the Jews. But it's gonna have at a certain point it's gonna plateau because this is not what normal people think. Just like wokeness on the left did. And yeah, that was growing for a long time, right? But where's the wokies now?
Ideas are going to grow with that perspective.
Well, they are. So that's happening. But
is that because of thanks to you or thanks to Dave?
I think it's thanks to Dave. But if you're asking me, I will answer. If you're lecturing me, I'll take the lecture.
I genuinely I'm asking you the question sincerely. You think it's growing because of you and not because of people like Dave who are going, okay, like, yeah, you can also think like this. It's okay to have this perspective. Like, you think it's because they're watching your show and they're going, he's got it right.
I can tell you very clearly, I've never watched a Nick Fuentes show. I came into this issue, as I said before, as being at least sensitive to or sympathetic to the Israeli cause, and I no longer am. But what is it? Yeah, do with the Jews. Shout out to Maverick, being Frank. Welcome to the party. All right. Come on, let's not extend it.
Think like this. It's okay to have this perspective. Like, you think it's because they're watching your show and they're going, he's got it right.
Let me give you a direct answer about the first part about Dave Smith. Just because he's born Jewish. What did he say when he went on Joe Rogan and he debated, what's the guy's name? He debated the British guy. I forget.
Douglas Murray.
Have you been?
Douglas Murray. Mm-hmm. When he debated Douglas Murray said, and you hear this is the woke right phenomenon, which Dave has criticized, but Douglas said, there is this dark element that is growing on the right. They're Holocaust deniers. They hate Jews. If they slip on a banana peel, they blame a Jew and all the rest of it. Dave Smith said, I agree with you. Those people are a problem. I'm against Holocaust denial and all this sort of stuff. Joe Rogan went on the attack against Jake Shields, who's a friend of mine and a fighter and a boxer.
Okay. So maybe we're wrong. Maybe I'm wrong that just because Nick Fuentes is on the screen, people will automatically now want to be anti-Semitic. All right. I've learned something new. I don't operate like that, but if you do, cheers to you.
Joe Rogan went on the attack against Jake Shields, who's a friend of mine and a fighter and a boxer. And you see this over and over and over again with people like Dave Smith and even someone like Daryl Cooper, who's not Jewish. And, I talked to Daryl recently and we kind of made amends, but Daryl Cooper put out an article on a Substack saying the same thing. He said, I started talking about the Jews. I opened up this can of worms. Now that's all people want to hear about. He said, so I'm done talking about it because, there's people that can't handle it and they're taking it too far. And when I hear that from Daryl Cooper, when I hear that from Dave Smith, when they say Israel's our satellite, our aircraft carrier, I say something's not right here.
But they're also saying that with the intention that that's not a good thing. They're not saying, oh, yay, Israel's a satellite. They're like, yo, what the fuck? Israel's like a straight up satellite.
There's clearly a subtle difference here. And that has a lot to do with, maybe Daryl Cooper not being a complete radical. And I think that has a lot to do with Dave Smith being Jewish because he says that
okay, how?
Cooper not being a complete radical. And I think that has a lot to do with Dave Smith being Jewish because he says that his ancestors died in the Holocaust.
And
now I don't think that he'll ever be able to say in the way that I can, that maybe the Holocaust wasn't legitimate or, maybe there's more to the story on World War II because it's his grandparents.
Okay, but
he says my ancestors went up the smokestacks at Auschwitz. And someone like me, I say, I don't care about Auschwitz. I don't care about the Holocaust. I'm done hearing about it. I have no affinity with that.
Right. But you also mentioned Daryl Cooper and you also mentioned Joe Rogan. These people are not Jewish, right?
Right.
So are you saying that they're all condemned? Like, why does it matter? If Dave Smith, maybe he believes that, maybe.
Like the wokies do. Anybody who I don't like goes in this box of people that are evil.
He's wrong. Maybe he believes it. Who knows? If Joe Rogan says that, maybe he's wrong. Maybe he believes it. Let's say we don't know. Daryl Cooper, what is the difference between these three individuals? Like, why is one represent a problem for you versus like your idea? Going back to what you said, right?
Mhm.
Let's tackle the idea. Let's
Right.
actually debate the idea. So do you not see how you run into conflict with yourself? You're like, well, here's my story. I just wanted to debate the idea. And then when it comes to Dave Smith, rather than saying, I disagree with what you just said about whatever topic, saying that there is this strand, let's actually have the debate because the better.
Yeah. And Maverick saying, never again will anyone support Israel. And that could have been an earlier thing if there weren't people like Nick talking about someone like myself was very unwilling to hear the types of arguments because they were coming from people like Nick. And if you want to, breach these topics, then have the self-awareness that you're breaching topics that people, just don't necessarily they're not going to like, they're not used to hearing, and address that as it is. Don't try to pretend that you're just saying nothing when you know that you're saying something. Don't say the Holocaust may have had weird quirks as far as the history books are concerned, but I'm pretty sure that's because the Nazis weren't exactly forthcoming with all of their info. True. Maverick said it can't be a thing because of people like Talmud Ted. I don't know who that is. Is that Ted Cruz? Yep, all that stuff.
With what you just said about whatever topic, saying that there is this strand, let's actually have the debate because the better idea will win. That's how my brain works.
Yeah, well, here's why. Because this is another form of gatekeeping. When Joe Rogan says, okay, you're cool. Dave Smith is cool. But Jake Shields, he's a Holocaust denier. That's not cool. That's dark and evil.
Correct. That is a form of gatekeeping. I have the gate of who I think is cool and who I want to have on my podcast and talk to. And you, Jake Shields, don't get to come through my gate. That's how podcasts work.
Evil and real anti-Semitism. You hear that all the time. They say, are you like a Dave Smith guy or are you a real anti-Semite?
Because why is that question make sense? Are you like a Dave Smith guy or are you a real anti-Semite? Because people recognize, there are people that recognize that Dave Smith is anti-Israel, but not really anti-Semitic. And there's other people who are really anti-Semitic. And you, Nick, are a big reason why that differentiation is so difficult. Shout out to Box. Welcome to the party. Very good to see you, sir.
You know what they say? If you're a real anti-Semite, you're out of the club. You don't get invited on the show. Piers Morgan won't have me on the show. He banned me. Tim Pool banned me. Joe Rogan banned me. And it's like, wait a second. So,
but again, they don't owe you shit, bro. You're saying all of this. And then after you were just saying, I shouldn't have to be grateful. Well, clearly you want these things. So when you get what you want, should you not have gratitude? Isn't that a Christian Catholic value?
He banned me. Tim Pool banned me. Joe Rogan banned me. And it's like, wait a second. So, clearly some people are able to go on these shows and express some form of the view, which is, again, like what you're saying. There's this.
Well, exactly. That's exactly the reason that question makes sense. So you're just not anti-Semitic. You're just anti-Israel. That's not anti-Semitic. This is the semantic obfuscation that we see from woke people, whether it's the woke left or the woke right.
Able to go on these shows and express some form of the view, which is, again, like what you're saying, there's this Israel lobby. But if you go out and say, you know what, 6 million, I'm not buying it. I think this is a political narrative. I think it's atrocity propaganda, serving a fifth column. Suddenly they say, well, that's real anti-Semitism. We want nothing to do with that. You remain outside. And so,
correct.
And look, it's not to me about.
Correct. We're not hiding behind that. We're very clearly saying, oh, you have these specific opinions that we don't like, and we don't want to engage with those opinions, which is completely fair, and everybody's right. What are you crying about? You have no gratitude to talk to these people when you do get a chance, so it sounds like you're just bitching. Box, what I like most about him is how he created his own platform from the ground up. A+ to him. He can tell anyone to fuck off unobstructed. He is freer than us plebs on YouTube. Very true. King said, if people see him being one-dimensional, then of course they might not want you on their podcast.
Bingo.
Exactly. Dylan says, I'm sure if he had said that to Armenians about their genocide, they wouldn't want to bring out the torches and pitchforks. Give me a break, Nick. Exactly. I mean, come on. We all see through it, and he's trying to play this game as if there's nothing to see here when we all see it. You know, like the wokies do.
We want nothing to do with that. You know, you remain outside. And so, and look, it's not to me about, you know, people then say, oh, well, you're envious. Look, I love doing my show. I love doing what I do. I want the real truth to prevail. And there's this concept of a limited hangout. This is a CIA tool, and I'm sure you've heard of it, but for your audience that maybe hasn't, when they believe that disclosure is inevitable, a secret, a taboo, hidden narrative that they don't want to get out, when it's inevitable that it is going to go out, what they will do is they will leak out some of the truth.
He is the most woke right person. Well, actually, maybe Jake Shields. He's pretty bad too, but yeah.
Is going to go out. What they will do is they will leak out some of the truth. The public is so enamored with the new information, they go no further, and they actually don't get to the critical details. And I think that,
Fair.
you know, we're basically at that point with the Israel lobby and the Jewish topic. Clearly something is going on.
So you're just distrusting, and that's fine to say that you're distrusting.
No, well,
I just, yeah. I mean,
This is another thing that I keep seeing with him, that he has a tendency to want to just jump to the opposite. Candace just said, it seems like you're distrusting. He's like, no, well, yeah. Like, listen, we're here to hear you out, bro.
trusting, and that's fine to say that you're distrusting.
No, well,
I just, yeah. I mean, I think it's fine to, and you are correct, by the way, that there are these operations where they do these limited hangouts. And I'm very aware of that. That is true. And sometimes I have that in my mind when I'm watching something. I'm like, this feels like a limited hangout. Like they're not really kind of getting to the nucleus of the conversation. But I just,
yeah, totally fair. Totally fair. Guys, if you do me a huge favor and hit that like button, I would very, very much appreciate it. It is free, it is easy, and it helps out the channel so very, very much. Shout out to TV Viewerski. Welcome to the party. Said he is the right Dylan Mulvaney. Exactly. They are mirror images of each other. Welcome to the party, sir. Actually, no.
really
Hold on. Let's give that Dilly. Let's give that Dilly, because that's spot on. Box asks if we could take a side quest that helps illuminate with this convo. Well, I would need to know what that is before I can give you an answer as to whether or not we can do it.
hang out. Like they're not really kind of getting to the nucleus of the conversation. But I just really disagree with you that like just Dave is just guilty and condemned simply because he's born
I didn't say because he's Jewish.
You literally said it's because he's Jewish. You said it's because he's Jewish, and he, as a Catholic, he associates with Jewish people and has that association with being Jewish. That is what you said. You said that.
I agree with you that like just Dave is just guilty and condemned simply because he's born
I didn't say because he's Jewish.
Well, on the clip, I think you just went like Dave Jew, and it's like, what does it matter? Joe Rogan.
Even outside of the clip, when he tried to explain it, that's what he said. No, you're not understanding. It's because I'm a Catholic, and so it's a religious thing.
Not
Tokenism.
Jew.
I'm sick of the tokenism.
Okay, and I'll tell you another reason why I disagree with that, and we can move on from Dave Smith because I like him, and I'm.
So wait, the tokenism. Is Nick under the impression that most people listen to Dave Smith because he is Jewish? I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's true. But if that is the case, I would love to see why you would come to that conclusion. Fox said, it is a black pastor where Nick got his talking points from in some of this chat. I don't know. Maybe that meant we'll save it for the after party.
The
okay, and I'll tell you another reason why I disagree with that, and we can move on from Dave Smith because I like him, and I'm whoever I like. I don't really care. To adapt my opinions on the basis of yours, but I also just in general feel like I was that person for BLM, And I'm genuine. I was totally genuine. And that was kind of my wake up call. BLM. I didn't really accept the victim narrative, maybe a little bit like you, naive, walked into it like, oh, I'm just not going to support this thing. And I don't really want to be a Democrat. And then I dealt with the full weight of an attempted cancellation by the left at first. And kind of like, she's, the token for the right. And people saying, well, they're only platforming her because she's a black person that agrees. And to some degree.
Okay. That's what he's saying. He's saying because Dave is the Jew against Israel, that is why everybody likes him. That's a weird way to think, man. It's very woke.
Like she's, the token for the right, and people saying, well, they're only platforming her because she's a black person that agrees. And to some degree, maybe that's true. Like, obviously, like there is an element of tokenism, but I'm saying what I believe.
Sure,
I was saying what I believe.
And I don't doubt his sincerity. I don't doubt his sincerity at all.
So why problematize it? That's what I'm trying to get to. So it's then he's out there having to fight amongst these pro-Israel people. He's fighting the same Zionists that we are on the topic of Israel. And on top of that, he's got to deal with Nick Fuentes talking trash about him because he's like, well, this is just, who cares? If he can't help who he is. I couldn't help it. I was black and disagreed with BLM. I'm just black and disagree with BLM,
Well, here's the reason why. It's a little bit irritating because Dave Smith, for all the flack that he's getting, he remains on YouTube. He's been on YouTube the whole time.
Has he broken any of the TOS?
He remains on Twitter. He's been on Twitter the whole time. He has bank accounts. He has payment processors. And now...
And so do the rest of us, because the rest of us aren't doing what you're doing. You're the common denominator, bro. So are you saying... you're saying then that anybody who's anti-Israel should get their bank taken away?
What?
That's what you want? That's what you want? Yeah, that really makes me want to listen to you, Nick. Like, what are we talking? What are we doing?
He remains on Twitter. He's been on Twitter the whole time. He has bank accounts. He has payment processors. And now that people are waking up about Israel, they want to invite a Jewish person on to tell us we're not real anti-Semites. We're not Holocaust deniers, but maybe something's wrong with Israel. And here I am, having been banned on YouTube, been banned by banks, every streaming platform, all of it condemned, life destroyed, and people still are gatekeeping me and saying, you're a real anti-Semite. And I'm saying, well, obviously we didn't come far enough. So I don't doubt his sincerity. He's a big boy. He doesn't mind that I'm trash talking him. And I still consider him a friend, even though I've been critical of him. But,
with friends like that, who needs enemies?
We have to go a little bit further than to say something's up with the Zionists or Israel. It's not Israel. It is the Jews. And I think that Dave Smith, being a Jewish libertarian, I don't think he's ready to go that far. I don't think he is.
I want to know what you mean by that. So just so we're clear, is your perspective that if people don't platform you, it's because they don't want to go too far?
It may be that they aren't that far ideologically, but then that's my job to push them farther. And
you are failing. You are failing at that.
That's why I say it. That's why I say, and
maybe they just disagree with you. But that's another thing. Maybe they just disagree with you.
But I'm gatekept.
Okay, but if the more important, so for me, if like
I'm gatekept, he says on one of the biggest platforms on the internet.
I care deeply about what's happening to the Palestinians. Obviously, I've made a point to talk about that, and I very much see what you're speaking about. That there is this coordinated, very sinister movement. I think it operates on the left and the right, whether it's the ADL or APAC, the money is flowing to instantly cancel people, to get them fired. And it's vicious. I mean, it is dirty business. And to survive it's hard for most people to even survive it when they go through it because they're so smeared. It's like an effective tar and feathering. And for it to happen when you were 18 is ridiculous. But at the same time, if I'm going to use my platform to speak about that, I want to make sure that I'm hosting people that can explain that to people that otherwise may not even be aware of that.
Right.
And yet again, Nick is failing at doing that.
So if you're going to host, why are you sitting this person down on your show? Well, because we're having a conversation about something that's important. I can either learn from that person, right? Or I think that this person can teach something to my audience, right? If I were to host you, and that was the clip that's coming out, do you think people are going to go, yeah, that just made me realize here I am just believing that we should, I'm a normal conservative like you. You said you were 18. I like these people. And the first thing I hear Nick Fuentes say is, Dave, conservative like you. You said you were 18. I like these people. And the first thing I hear Nick Fuentes say is, Dave, they're not going to think that you're a good person.
This is concern trolling. I'm sorry. No, but this is tone policing. And this is
it's fine. Maybe it is tone policing, but it's at the point of reality. Like how you say things does matter. If you're in the midst of a debate and somebody is talking about how you said something in a mean tone, that's not an argument. But discussing how to grow your audience is a very different thing.
they're not going to think that you're a good person.
This is concern trolling. I'm sorry,
No,
but this is tone
But you
policing, and
just
this is
said,
concern
no, it's
trolling.
not. It's not. No, it's
It-
not.
it is
It's not
absolutely-
policing. Hold up. Let's back it up because I'm going to let you speak.
Cope. There can't possibly anybody who has constructive criticism for me must be concern trolling.
It is not tone
Someday.
policing. What I am saying is that you just went through the fact that you genuinely were coming up, that you were a conservative, you genuinely liked Ben Shapiro, you genuinely thought these things. So that wasn't, you would not look back on yourself and say, well, that I was problematic. You just would be like, that makes sense.
Right.
And I'm saying to you that the majority of people have that perspective. You don't have to assign an evil motive. You get into something because you believe it. That's it. It's just that simple.
Okay.
And if you're then going to have somebody who's condemning them, what are we learning? If you're just going to say you're this, you're that, it's like you've forgotten yourself. Like some people just aren't there wherever you are.
Okay, but
I'm definitely not there. Shout out to Funk Master General. Welcome to the party. Starting out hot with 10 gifted memberships. Thank you so very much. And of course, a treat for Morty. Thank you so very much. If you just got gifted a membership, make sure you click that link at the top of the chat. It's free for everybody, but now you as a member have access to the full Discord server. Thank you so very much, sir. Welcome to the party. We also got Abe Dingus. Welcome, sir. Saw you on the Gauntlet last night. Welcome to the party. Thank you again, Funkmaster General. Of course, that makes you the new sponsor of the stream.
If you're just going to say you're this, you're that, it's like you've forgotten yourself. Like some people just aren't there wherever you are.
Okay, but I missed the part where I condemned him. And I talked about the Dave Smith part repeatedly.
This is why the tone policing is relevant, because you think that people don't actually care and don't actually want your ideas to be spread. When at the very least, Candace is saying, here's a way that your ideas could be better spread. Oh, you're just trolling. No, bro. No. Maybe it's just the case that you don't know all of the everything. Ever thought of that?
I missed the part where I condemned him. And I talked about the Dave Smith part repeatedly. And by the way, you're mixing it up and saying, well, if people watch the show, what are they going to think if they see that clip?
I'm just trying to say to you, why would someone maybe say,
Can I
okay,
talk?
if
Can I
want,
answer?
Yeah, go ahead.
Come on.
Go ahead.
I mean, so, look, I'm a funny guy. I'm bombastic. I'm provocative. That's part of it. And you know what? You can concern troll and tone police about, whether
I wouldn't have
kind
you
of
tone policing and
call
playing your
Dave
clips.
Smith
Cope. Thank you again, Fogmaster General. It's just the idea that this is how you can avoid addressing any kind of criticism. Because if somebody's saying, hey, look, your message could be could reach more people if you did this, you can either be like, that's an interesting idea. Either I agree or disagree, or nope, I'm not even going to engage with that. You're just concern trolling. Like, what does that even mean? Shout out to Ryan Anderson. Welcome to the party. So they talked about Israel yet. Wasn't that the reason she brought him on? Well, I think they could get there, but Nick is dancing around the very real fact that he doesn't like people because they're Jewish. He seems to be very happy to say it on his own show, but here, when he's confronted with clips of his own show and ideas from his own mouth, he doesn't want to just say, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. I don't like him because he's Jewish, or I don't like people because they're Jewish, or somebody who is Jewish is lower in my eyes, or whatever it is the hell that you think. Stand on business. Yeah, because he's not answering the questions. We're still trying to understand why it matters that Dave Smith is a Jew. We haven't gotten past that. And I'm willing to understand that. Oh, okay. I made the comparison that if you are Jewish, there's a reason not to want to associate with the jihadists, even if they have some good ideas. They want you as part of their central ideology. They want you to die. So, okay, what is the correlate with Jews and Catholics? And he can't answer that. Dylan said he was on the Hodge Twins show talking about how the Daily Wire, PragerU, and Breitbart have Israel ties and whatnot. Seemingly overlooking the fact that the faces of said companies are all practicing Jews. So yes, I can imagine them supporting. I mean, there's definitely going to be the neocon crowd that no matter what is going to be pro-Israel. That's not really what we're talking about. We're talking about the people who are willing to have their mind changed, willing to see, oh, okay, I saw that incorrectly, And now I understand it's this, that, or whatever. Among those people, Israel ain't getting help anytime soon. But the government's part of that, so they're getting money. They're just not getting any love from us.
You can concern, troll, and tone police about whether
I wouldn't have
kind
you
of
on
are.
if I'm tone policing and
call
playing
Dave
your clips.
Smith Jew this. We're laughing during the clip.
Yeah,
You and I are
it's
laughing.
funny.
It's funny. And
I'm
that's
laughing
why,
at you making fun of me. I don't mind you making fun of me.
Yeah, and I don't
I'm
mind
chill.
you making fun of me if you've ever done that. I mean, and I'm chill too.
No, I don't care. I'm not, like I said, I told you it's funny.
I like that about you because I think that you're hardcore. I think we're kind of similar in that way. We don't have thin skin. So I appreciate that about you.
All right, what do we got in the free chat of our Discord? A short here with this better be something that doesn't get me in trouble. All right, what do we got? What do we got? Let's put our side quest cap on.
We're going to have to be political again. I'm going to have to be diplomatic. We're going to have to stop saying the N-word on the show. Did you see that, by the way, at America Fest? Patrick Bet-David said he wouldn't interview me because I'm saying the N-word all the time. That's so ridiculous.
And that's exactly my point. You should be like, oh, that's gay. That's beta. That's whatever. But ridiculous? How do you, in what way is it ridiculous?
I mean, are you serious? But it's true. But it's true. We can't have a professional operation if we're always saying the N-word. So
I agree.
We all have to make sacrifices.
There you go.
And that is one of the great ones. So,
by the way, to say this guy knows how to deliver a message in such a profound way is an understatement.
And that's another frustrating aspect of this. Because I guarantee you that in 10 years, Nick is probably going to be somebody that's positively influential. Everybody that talks about him, they always caveat that, well, he really knows how to do this thing. And that's even sadder because you could be, I don't know. He's how old is he? Like 22, 23? Maybe he just needs to go through this, and anybody who was exploding for politics on the internet would take this route. But yikes, man. Imagine who he could be.
For a guy this young, I don't know
26, thank you.
He's going to turn into in 10, 20, 30 years from now. And I don't know if I agree with I don't even know all the values. I know some of the stuff he's talked about Israel and over the years, and I've seen him one time crossing a red light and, Ben Shapiro and some of that stuff.
Yeah, I saw part of that. Somebody clipped it up and put it on TikTok with some other stuff. But yeah.
And Turning Point USA, it's one thing you can't say about this guy. He actually believes what he talks about, and he gives me that vibe, and he's a very, very clear communicator. Yes, Nick. Drop some of those words, bro. You're going to be invited to different places to get your message out.
That's
You
simple.
don't need to say those words. You're plenty of a good communicator to not have to add that to your. I'm glad I don't know. Has he taken any advice or has he still I don't know if he's dropping in. Huh? Oh, good for him. Good for him. Good for him. I'm proud of him. Okay.
Good for him. Good for him. I mean, and the same exact thing. So he understands that there is an aspect of that. Yeah, it's so important to not talk about Israel, but the Jews that you're willing to undercut your own message and dampen your own community. I mean, okay. Shout out to Indie Fam. Welcome to the party. So he needs to marry Milo and get over with it before gay marriage is outlawed. Well, we know that even though he loves taking it up the ass, that he would never get gay married. Never. Welcome to the party. Maverick said, PBD's real name is Patrick Ben-David. Ben-David is a Jewish surname. He is a shill for Israel, pretending to be Iranian. Okay. Again, that's some woke shit to care about.
You're hardcore. I think we're kind of similar in that way. We don't have thin skin. So I appreciate that about you. And I know that Dave Smith is the same way. And I said on that show and other shows, I like him. I think he's a good guy. And I agree with you. I think he's sincere and I respect him. And I think he's a good person, actually.
He is.
But I do think that we disagree. And to the extent that I'm critical of the situation, it's not a personal directed at him. I know maybe it comes across that way or it sounds like that to you, but I've said.
Yes, that is the concern, not the concern trolling, the legitimate concern.
It repeatedly on my show in and that's not the only time I talked about it. I said the problem is this idea, and again, intentional or not, that we need permission from a Jewish person sitting there so that we're not real anti-Semites to talk about the issues. And I also disagree with Dave Smith on the extent of it. Now, maybe he fundamentally disagrees. I'd love to talk to him about it. That'd be fine.
I'd love to see that.
Fine with me, but it does come from a place of disagreement. I'm not condemning him.
Yeah, I think he genuinely just disagrees with you. And that's kind of the point I'm trying to say when I say don't internet too hard, is that sometimes you can assign a conspiracy where it's just not, that's not the motive. Like for me.
Well, you're right. I don't understand the message because the messenger is not delivering it. And so until I have a reason to think that he has a message that is worth anything, then you ain't shit. So we've been sitting here for an hour now. And I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting to hear the actual reason. And I've not heard anything.
I just wanted to have Dave on my show because I had him on before, and I think he's great. I like his stuff. He's one of my favorite follows. That's it. I don't even think about the fact, well, he's a Jew, so let me have him on to tokenize the situation. I don't care. I just like him, you know?
Yeah.
And in terms of why I could try to appreciate where if somebody's trying to wake somebody up to something, you know, you could dump, I guess, a bucket of ice on someone when they're sleeping and wake them up. Or you could kind of say, okay, you know, are you starting to, with my sisters, we have this debate right now about me being a Catholic. My sisters are not Catholic. I don't need to be like, you must understand why the Catholic faith is right. And it's like, I got there. They're not there yet. Like, chill. Like,
you godless heathens.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Here's where I was. My sisters were Democrat when I got into politics. And we've always kept a sense of humor about things. So it never became this toxic name calling stuff. Well, it was, but it was like with a sense of humor about it. Like my sisters would be like, have fun at your Klansman rally. And I'd be like, cool. Because I'd ask her to watch my cat. But the idea that I think that at the moment that I recognize something or at the moment that I become something, everyone else must therefore become that thing. I think that's asinine. I do.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that. Look, my show is my platform and I say what I feel about the situation. And
yeah, but you gave the reasoning as to why you don't like Dave is because you're not 100% aligned. That's what you said. We're just going by what you are saying.
My audience is already there with me. You know, I'm doing a show. And by the way,
we are with Nick. We are with Nick.
I don't even do it for the audience. I say what I say. I said it 8 years ago when it really wasn't popular. I said it 5 years ago when it was a little more popular. I'm saying it now. And, you know, so, and that's the difference, I guess, is this is a common critique of me and my audience. People say, well, are you being tactful? Are you being strategic? These kinds of things. I'm not setting plays. I will acknowledge I'm impulsive.
Maybe if there's a message to understand, maybe you should be doing gameplays. Maybe you should have a playbook. If what you're saying matters so much that you can't even curtail some of the language that you're using so people will even listen, then maybe you should be a little bit more tactful instead of bitching. Well, I want to be on this show, but I'm not even grateful.
These kinds of things. I'm not setting plays. I will acknowledge I'm impulsive. I am bombastic. I'm out there. I'm a maniac, you know, but my job is to put the truth out there. I am the bucket of ice cold water and I'm dumping it on people, and some people are going to get it and some people it's going to take them longer. I'll let other people set the plays. I'll let other people kind of do the breadcrumbs and do this incremental approach.
Yeah, and they will then have influence and you then will not.
I kind of figured it out. I was off to the races from the beginning, and I just want to cut to the chase and get to the most fundamental part of the idea. And so, you know, that's why some people don't like me, granted. But I think the big picture is that I have been suppressed for 10 years because, I mean, we could sit here all day long and say, were you mean to this one? Were you mean to that one? Was this out of pocket? The fact of the matter is I have been more censored than anybody for 10 years. Yeah. That's the real reason. So, and but
you're not still being censored. I'm just trying to provide feedback.
I am though.
And so instead of taking the time where you're not censored, you have somebody who's willing to listen to what your message is, asking you direct questions about this message. And you're crying about other people not listening to your message.
What? Come on, man.
Reason. So, and but
you're not still being censored. I'm just trying to provide feedback.
I am though.
Provide feedback to what you just said in that clip. Like, why wouldn't they have me on their platform? I'm not tone policing. Go on your show, say whatever you want. Actually, I would make the argument that you're kind of tone policing our shows by saying, why won't they? Like, whatever. I'm just saying, don't assign evil motive where there just might not be one. Like,
I don't think I am.
Okay,
I was
fine.
mad that you wouldn't. Well, you don't believe me, but I was mad that you're saying, okay. You're mad that. Well, I was mad that you wouldn't have me on the show because, look,
Where you at? No. Where you at? No. Hey, shout out to Zippy DSM Lee. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Said Nick is a gay fed, but ain't wrong. He might not be wrong, but he's a very bad messenger for whatever message he's trying to push. Welcome, 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 sir.
You're mad that, well, I was mad that you wouldn't have me on the show because, you know, look, I stand you so hard on Twitter. I was Candace Owens, and the Groypers were there for you for Daily Wire, and they wanted the collab so bad last year. And you kept saying, well, we'll do it. But then you said,
what are you talking about? Let's back this up.
Okay.
Because I do want to get to this. This is actually something that I find to be very funny. First and foremost, because I don't know what a Groyper is. Okay.
Me neither. I just understand that to mean Nick Fuentes fan.
This is, and I will give you credit where credit is due. You have managed to infect the brains of 40-plus-year-old men. And that is actually, I think, the most compelling part about you, is I watched as I was coming up in my career, and I will say I've had 4 kids in the last few years. I don't pay attention to, I think you were on Cozy TV.
Yes.
You were banned everywhere. I only know that because 40-year-old men were obsessively asking me to come out and condemn you. I'll name one of them, Seth Dillon of the Babylon Bee. He lives in a Groyper simulation. And I'm just, to me, interested in the idea that the 18-year-old kid who's been banned everywhere, and you have to jump through the hoops to watch him on this obscure cozy.tv, has managed to completely send you mad.
Yep. And so that's the other side of the woke right. That, oh, he's saying mean words. So not that, hey, I disagree with that. Hey, I think that's incorrect. But he can't speak. Woke right. Hey, happy birthday. Everybody cheers up. Burnbox's birthday. Birthday party.
Fascinating to me. Credit where credit is due. The Groypers are truly living in the minds of neocons. There's no question about it. Okay. So for me, genuinely, I didn't watch your content. I gotta tell you, you're not for moms. I'm very into the anti-vax stuff. No one's, I'm not tucking in at night after 5 days a week of a show and 4 kids being like, what's on Cozy TV? What's Nick Fuentes saying over at Cozy TV?
You're not?
No, I am not. And so the first time that I started seeing your clips was kind of at the same moment that I got fired, because at the same time-ish is when you got put back on Twitter. And I am active on Twitter, and I'm seeing clips here and I'm seeing clips there. And I did see the clips of you speaking about the Christ is King scenario, some which were hilarious, just kind of getting into the theology of it. And I'm sorry.
Yeah, Zippy, I missed this one. Said pretty much if you focus on groups, aka identity politics, you ignore the problems created by the corporate state. Yes, the government is the enemy, not somebody who has different skin color or believes in a different God than you. Well, maybe, but that's a whole other conversation. Very well said.
Is King scenario, some which were hilarious, just kind of getting into the theology of it. And I'm starting to go, okay, I'm kind of getting this Nick Fuentes thing, especially when Jeremy Boring, then the CEO of Daily Wire, hosted this Christ is King audio live. And that was the first time I ever heard your backstory. So I genuinely was so, I guess, not blind to the Groyper movement, but how influential you were, that these people, as Jeremy admitted in that audio, were watching your show, which was on an app that I had never even heard about. So I want to give credit where credit is due. But your strategy of, I'm going to go on my show and call this person out for not having me on the show when you didn't ask to come on the show, and you had a line of communication because of some legal stuff that was happening in the background, where I was asking you to do a decent thing and tell the truth about the fact that we didn't have this relationship that I think some people thought that we had going on in the background.
What, the two of them? The two of them? Jeremy Boring
relationship, or strategizing together. So I just think it was ridiculous. I'm like, if you wanted to come on the show, why didn't you just send a big boy message and say, hey, Candace, we should collab? And that's what I mean when I say I think you internet too hard. You think the way to get that is to go Groyper war, Groypers, go at, and I am. And
that's some childish shit. And I thought he was younger. The fact that he's 26 you're really turning the corner on, well, okay, you're younger. You should kind of have it together. And I think there's an aspect of, if all this stuff happened when you're 18, then it's going to be harder to advance from that level of intellectual maturity, because now you're the guy. So I can understand that, but more reasons why I don't necessarily think that he's a good person to listen to. And Zimby, with more fire, said Christianity holds the real power. It funds terrorism in the Middle East to keep people distracted. Yep. Dilly to that. If it wasn't Christianity, it would be just a different dogma. And dogma
is to go Groyper war. Groypers, you go at, and I am the exact opposite demeanor. If you do that, I will definitively not have you on the show.
Mhm.
And the irony is, we had the discussion. So I think I messaged you and I was like, "What's the deal with you on YouTube? If I have you on the show, we were just kind of getting set up here.
Mhm.
Are you allowed to?" And you answered and said, "I don't know." You said, "Some people have had me on, some people have gotten hit," and I'm like, "Okay, well, we're still trying to figure this thing out." And the next thing I know, you've launched a Groyper war. And I'm going, if you think this
But why won't you have me on your platform?
is the last strategy you should possibly take if you ever want to get anything with me. I don't respond to like anonymous accounts. Like I'm sorry, I'm not 13. I have toddlers at home. Like I get the like I want. And I say to them, if you would like something, you need to use your manners. You need to say, "Can I please have?" and "Thank you." And that's how I felt you were kind of executing this request, was in a really immature way. It was just immature.
Well, I think you're kind of starting in the middle of the story, because when you left the Daily Wire, everybody was on Twitter and in your live chat and in the comments saying, "We want the collab with Nick Fuentes." And you said in the live chat, "We're going to do it." We have the screenshots in the live chat for your show. You said, "We're going to do the collab." I have the screenshots,
then,
so, you know. If
okay,
it goes out,
and now you're here. So what, why? Okay.
Are you potentially speaking about like a live chat that was going and you think that I responded to somebody saying,
your channel said, "We're going to do the collab"?
okay, maybe are you talking about YouTube?
Yes.
Genuinely, I don't know what you're talking about, but we
Okay.
can add the screenshot. We can add it because
Sure.
I definitively do not remember saying we were going to do the collab. Even if I indicated I was, I did reach out to you and say, "What's the deal?" Because we were talking about, like I said, we were
Right.
like, we should get him on.
Yeah.
But then
Again, we could be talking about why it matters to talk about Jewish people and not just the Israeli government. Well, you didn't want to have me on. Well, you're here now, motherfucker. You got some shit to say, then say it.
in between me saying we should get him on and you saying, "I don't know about YouTube," suddenly there was like, we're launching a war on her.
Yeah,
And
well,
then I was like, "No, I don't want to do
let's
this."
talk about that beginning of the story, because you know, people were pushing for the collab, and there's a screenshot where you say, "Yeah, we'll do the collab." And this was like a period of many months.
Okay, fact checking Nick Fuentes again here. So he sent us 2 screenshots where he says that I said, "We'll do the collab." And I do not believe these screenshots say that. So these are the ones that he sent us. Here's number 1. He doesn't show us what I was responding to, but we can guess because I said, "Yes, I would talk to Nick. Why not?" So that makes me believe that the person probably said, "Would you ever have Nick on the show? Or would you ever speak to Nick Fuentes?" And I said, "Yes, I would talk to him. Why not?" I never said we were collabing. And then this is the second screenshot that Nick sent us. It reads, "I will literally speak to anyone on my podcast. My podcast is not for crybabies who hate speech." So,
And guess who's on Candace's podcast right now?
I'm not certain how he could have interpreted that as I confirmed I was doing a collab with him, but those are the screenshots he submitted. So I will allow you guys to interpret that yourself. Back into the conversation.
And then you go into a Twitter space with Dan Bilzerian, and there was I think one of those Jewish guys was on there. I forget his name. Mike something Myers was on there. Andrew.
So why, again, I would just like to know why that matters, because as Candace just explained, people like myself are going to be turned off when you focus on identity politics like that. So if you give me a reason to care that you talk to this guy versus you talk to this Jewish guy, I'm listening. I brought you to the audience. We're all listening. You just don't have shit to say. I think you have, I think you've hit on issues that matter, but you're very, very bad at being the conduit to people who don't understand because of the way you talk. Shout out to John Castle in the building. Welcome to the party. I mean, you know, you could decide how much of you personally care about being a racist, but if you're trying to grow a movement, then people generally don't like racism. It's just that simple. And that's all she's trying to tell him. And he's like, "Oh, you're concern trolling." Like, all right, bro. Hey, shout out to Insight of the Ages. Welcome to the party. Good to see ya. Yes, and interesting. I was talking a little bit on TikTok. You guys know I do like the TV and movies that I'm watching over there. But sometimes, political stuff will bleed in. And there's this one guy that's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe that you're MAGA. I would have never expected it." And it's like, yeah, maybe that should tell you something. And he's like, "Well, there's the racism and blah 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 blah." And as Box is saying, like, we are in a different era now. We have the Nick Fuenteses of the world. We have the Sneakos of the world. They don't couch it. Exactly. And so he's also saying, I think his rise is being orchestrated. That's the second person saying some version of the fact that he's a plant or a psyop. I could see it. But it's just, the question is that the answer to the question that I'm asking? Is the reason that he's not dropping this level of hostility because he's there to be a agent provocateur? Because if he would stop saying Jews like that, then maybe people would start listening. And if he's if it's being orchestrated by people who want to associate people like Nick Fuentes with these ideas, then is that part of the plan or not? Who knows? Welcome to the party, guys. Very good to see ya.
Jewish guys was on there. I forget his name. Mike something Myers was on there. Andrew Meyer was on there.
Oh, yeah.
You brought him on there. I think Andrew Tate was on there. People said in your replies.
Oh, shit. I mean, yeah, I think that's true. But it's at the edge. Excuse me. It's at the edges. It's how you're delivering your message. So, yeah, it is tone policing, but for good reason.
Andrew Meyer was on there.
Oh, yeah.
You brought him on there. I think Andrew Tate was on there. People said in your replies, get Dave Smith, get Dave Smith. You said he's invited to everything I do. All the replies said get Nick Fuentes on there. I'm not banned on Twitter. And so, and here
But that was after you had launched this, like...
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, I think it was.
I don't think it was. But either way, here's the
Who
point.
cares?
It just felt like you were making...
Tell me why it matters that it's specifically the Jews and not the Israeli government and Bibi Netanyahu. That's what I want to hear from you.
Excuses, which was, oh, well, it's the YouTube thing. Oh, it's a legal thing. If it's YouTube, we could have done it on my platform.
You know, the legal thing was real. I still can't speak about what that legal thing was, but that was very real. That was very real. And I was...
Is it not in effect now? Has something changed?
Not for a discussion for another time, but the point being is, like, that wasn't a joke. You know, that wasn't a joke. You were on the phone with my lawyers.
I know there was a legal
the accusations that were being thrown at me were just inaccurate in regarding that legal thing. And so when I reached out to you to ask you to just clarify that this wasn't real, whatever it was, I was asking you to just do a decent thing. Like, that was not on a, okay, well, let's collab or not collab. It was like, hey, this is my real life. It's being impacted by something that I didn't do. No, but then you kind of, in a really crappy manner, spoke about that on your show, something that I was privately going through that is still lasting. Okay. I have a lot of stuff going on in the background. And I was just like, what kind of person is this? Like, like,
well, that's just who I am. And I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about. It's like, fine, Nick, but then stop complaining that other people don't want to talk to you.
I'm fighting for my life. I'm being attacked by Zionists. I've just gotten fired. I have kids at home. I mean, at no point you just go like, and then you knew that I had some legal stuff, drama going on in the background. At no point you just go like, maybe she genuinely just like, or I'm just going to reach out to her and say, hey, we're already talking. Do you want to maybe collab down the future?
There you go. And Zippy says there would be no Israel without the U.S. military industrial complex. Does anybody put a one in the chat if you disagree with this? Left, right, center. I don't think anybody disagrees with this.
The adult thing to do. And going to your point, when I said he's always invited to anything I do, I literally had not invited Dave Smith. I would just,
I know.
I had not invited him. I was just saying, if he wants to jump on and say, let me on, I'll let him on. That's it.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. I think that you can't have your cake and eat it too. Okay. Because you also went and said, I've never spoken to Nick Fuentes before in my life, but that was a lie.
Okay,
or you didn't know, but we had spoken before.
Okay, yeah, let's clarify that. Yes, I was wrong that there was that one conversation you pointed out about when my husband was working for what was the app called?
For Israel or for Jews? For Israel or for Jews? You let me know, because it could go either way. And I agree with one of those statements, or I could agree with one of those statements, and I definitely disagree with the other. Buck says you can beat money in politics by making elections random as fuck. Let the rich people buy both sides, and let's just step aside. I think we are here. Shout out to equality and deference because vagina. Welcome to the party, sunlight. and shared. Thank you, thank you, thank you so very, very much. You guys know how much that stuff helps out the channel, and it is free, it is easy, and it doesn't even matter if you think anybody's going to click on the link that you post. You can put it in text or DMs just by telling YouTube, Rumble, or X that you want more people to see it. They will show it to more people. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Colin said, Gossip Girl versus Nick. Pretty much. That's pretty much what we got so far. I thought we were going to get some talk about Israel and the Jewish people, but no, just complaining that he hasn't been on the show that he is currently on. This is from I'm not exactly sure because it's been wiped from the internet, but I did a search and I think it was from early in July. I believe so. Or that's what it came up, but I'm not sure. I'm not exactly sure. It was sometime earlier this year. At the very latest, it was right after, or excuse me, at the very earliest, it was right after the Douglas Murray Dave Smith debate because they were talking about that. Shout out to Bugs with the $2. Thank you. Hello. Said vote gooder. Please do. Please do. And of course, every donation comes with a treat for Morty, and that adds to our swole goal, guys. That is 2 out of 15 and 27 out of 50. We are past the halfway mark. Thank you so very much. I am so puny. Help bulk me up by hitting that goal. Thank you, thank you, thank you, sir. Let's dive right back in.
Conversation you pointed out about when my husband was working for what was the app called? Parlor app.
Parlor. Oh, I'm sorry. So there were 2 actually.
Yeah, but like, I mean, come on, Nick. The verse is like, we had this long relationship.
Okay,
like,
but we can't play this game now. We
what
can't
game?
play this because you can't then get.
You said words to me. Therefore, it's only right that I get to be on your show at the moment that I want to be on your show. What are we doing? What are we doing here?
On my case and say, well, look, I'm just going through a lot and I have this crappy stuff going on.
No, I'm just saying,
but I don't know about the screenshot, but I forgot about the conversation.
Nick,
and
that
the
was
other
from
one
years ago. I mean, okay, yes, okay, you're right. At first, there was a conversation that you can read it live. Well, we should throw it up. Let's throw it up.
Throw it up. And inside Israel or Israeli intelligence with the Italian mob and Navy intelligence after World War II built the CIA. Now, that sounds a little bit different than someone like Dave Smith, who's a New York Jew. Just trying to bridge that gap and understand, and I still don't. John said, any religion you guys are comfortable outcasting, like Scientology or something? Yes, all of them. All of them. Shout out to Cody Stanford. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party. It does not take a majority to prevail, but rather an irate, tireless majority, keen on setting brush fires in the minds of men. From Samuel Adams, the father of the revolution. Well, dilly dilly, the same Adams. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party. Zippy said, Israel is not even the tail of the dog. It's just another hair on the tail of the global war machine dog. Yeah, I mean, now we're getting into it. And this is what I would love for them to discuss, because I don't necessarily understand the intricacies at that level. And it seems like they do. But instead, they're talking about, well, you didn't have me on your show. Like, come on, man.
First, there was a conversation that you can read it live. Well, we should throw it up. Let's throw it up and post so people can read what you're okay. Like back in 2019, what is it, 1819? There was a communication.
And then in 2022, during the Kanye thing.
Yes, and I've always been honest. I've talked about that many times. That was the first time I remembered us having a conversation, was the Kanye stuff. So when I was saying the first time I spoke to him was over the Kanye thing, and I've been very honest about that.
You said that after, because first you said we had never spoken. And then I insinuated, no, maybe that's not true. And then you said, oh, we talked during
I can legitimately tell you that that's factually, you're very wrong, because I had to confront that because of some legal stuff that was going on. I was very open about the fact that I had a conversation with you when you were hanging out with Ye. You could talk about that openly right now. I couldn't care less. But the point is that what was the difference in what we're talking about is a communication about a certain situation versus like Candace and Nick had some like background relationship and we're coordinating. That's just not true.
Just not true. Box again with the $2 and whamming. We're sitting here talking to 2 whamming. Just whamming. Yeah, exactly. Move on. But it is important that we stick with this and see how they navigate this aspect of the conversation, because this is going to clue us into when we get to speaking about hard facts. We have a better understanding of who the messenger is. Like Myra was talking about the messenger and the message. The better we understand the messenger, the more easily we can understand the message. It's all about the conversation.
About a certain situation versus like Candace and Nick had some like background relationship and were coordinating. That's just not true, you know? And so that was what I was trying to dispel, because people were very seriously creating an insane conspiracy theory that I was coordinating with you. It was insane. All I can say to you is that retrospectively it was insane. And so if I forgot one communication about Parler, you are correct. I went and checked and I was like, yeah, no, he's right. I told him that my husband was not working, I think for like Google, or was, I don't know what you thought was happening, but it wasn't real. And I told you that. So I just kind of shut down some conspiracy that you were on. And then was the Kanye thing. And there were other people who genuinely believed that you and I were like in this communicative relationship, coordinating, like I'm working with the Groypers. And it was just, I don't know what to say other than it was really loony. These were coming from old.
And the fact that that matters is because of exactly what we're talking about, the way that you talk. You're calling it tone policing, and I'm not disagreeing. But that policing your tone is talking about why you're having all the issues that you're complaining about. You can eat your cake and have it too. You can be the guy that just says it as it is, and then nobody likes that. Or you can tone down your shit and hope that more people want to talk to you. You can't do both.
They're men, and I realized that you were kind of very effectively getting to people.
That's true. But yeah, I mean, look, and you know, this is a long time ago now, it was a year ago. I didn't prepare the timeline in advance, but the way that I recall, you said we had never talked before. Then you said, well, we talked once during Yay.
No,
I believe that was the case, but maybe I'm wrong about that. Like I said, I don't have it in front of me, but it felt like you were. True. I felt like you weren't being completely forthcoming about it.
Please be forthcoming. I'm the most honest person in my audience, so nothing is off record. You can say whatever you want right now. Be forthcoming. What did I lie about? I did forget the Parler communication.
You said we had never talked before. We had actually talked a couple of times before.
Yeah, but about the same situation. You get my point. We were dealing with something with Yay. This was not like Candace reaching out like, hey, Nick,
but that's
what's
not what
that
you said.
Groyper music?
You didn't say we talked about unrelated things and we've talked before. Okay. You said we've never talked before. I don't know anything about him. I don't know him.
Should I skip ahead a little bit? I mean, I want to see how they bring this out and get to the actual discussion. But like Dylan said, shout out to Liberty Plus TV. Welcome. Said some Jews are occultists. Not all occultists are Jews. Nick's a fucking moron. I agree. Shout out to Mr. Rogers. What do you do with the man that you feel? I don't remember the melody, but shout out to Mr. Rogers. Any film said, what the hell, bro? You got this time to make your points, and you're arguing whether she wanted to have you on or not.
Stupid.
Yep. So I'm just going to jump ahead a little bit because worst case scenario, they just go through this another 2 or 3 times and we'll see where we're at.
This is pre-recorded. So I'm just going to say, if you do go home and find a clip of me saying something that you believe was lying, then I'm happy to share it because I don't lie to people. It's just not something that's like in my DNA. I would rather just tell the truth and deal with the consequences.
That's what I thought, Box, but apparently Nick is here to tell us different, but not give any reasons.
So I had 2 separate communications with you before I got fired, and they were limited to us discussing Parler and us discussing Yay. Would you think that's a fair assessment of?
Yes.
Okay. Fine. Done. Okay.
Oh, another fact check. Oh, Nikki boy. Oh, Nikki. Box said, is America its government right now? How in control are we? I would say I'm definitely not the best person to answer this, but it seems like, yes, we are their government, but we are not really in control. Because they technically have their own government and their own weapons, then we are, we just have to hope that they don't, do some crazy fuck shit. Because if they do, then we have to go back them up. And I would do anything to prevent that, but look where we are. And so I don't know if we are that in control. We definitely have control of aspects, but I don't know. Box said he's conflating the same mistake Sam Harris made. Oh, Sam Harris. Well, when we talk about the Sam Harris mistake, we say, if things were different, then they would be different, and I would be right. Is he making that with this? Liberty says, do you watch Love Your? I don't even know what that is. See, I missed. I don't know what. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, try again, bro. I can only read English.
Us discussing yay. Would you think that's a fair assessment of?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Fine. Done. Okay. Fact checking Fuentes, because we told him obviously that he could send us anything in post and we would drop it in. He said that I denied that I had contact with him. This is the proof that he sent us right here. You can see that I tweeted on November.
Remember, this is the second fact check. He's already been fact checked once on 2 different accounts, and he was wrong.
November 25th, 2022. I tweeted, I have never in my life been in contact with Milo Yiannopoulos or Nick Fuentes. This is not a personal shot at either of them. That is simply the truth. I met Milo twice, both times at the David Horowitz Freedom Center, where we were both invited as speakers years ago. As Nick insinuated, this was technically not true because I did have public contact with Nick that then kind of rolled into a private correspondence. I'll read it to you. This is what I tweeted publicly. I tweeted, this isn't true, responding to Nick. He was tweeting something about Parler, which my husband was the CEO of Parler, so I was defending my husband. I said, this is not true. Apple was under serious pressure, which is why they reinstated the app. This is a victory. Short term, though, in my opinion, if they don't sue Apple. Referring to Parler again, I'm just out here defending my husband's honor. But to Nick's credit, I then, that right after, said this to him via DM, a private correspondence, basically just, again, talking about Parler and saying that I couldn't say anything just yet.
Let's go really quick. Yes, I know more. I know more. It's annoying because I have to keep my mouth shut about it for 2 more weeks. But Parler is fighting a meaningful fight. Apple is playing PR, so the left doesn't freak out. People complaining about Parler want phone numbers to sign up. That's to protect them, obviously. Anonymous leftist trolls and journalists wrote hideous threats on the app to force Parler's closure. In my opinion, Apple was behind it. Anyway, more will come out. Apple is just making a statement first.
And that was our correspondence that we had that I truly did not remember. You can see it is dated April 19th, 2021.
You don't remember that?
How dare you?
So I was sincere when I said that I didn't have any contact with Nick in 2022, but I did forget this correspondence. So back to the conversation.
Yikes. So Boggs was saying he's making the same mistake Sam made. And then I was saying Sam wasn't wrong. It's just distasteful for most people. Batman got upset on Bill Maher. It's interesting that you bring that up because I was a liberal at that point. And the way I saw it was that I don't even remember his name. Batman was freaking out for no reason. And he was exactly Sam was trying to make the exact difference that I'm saying, that there's the Israeli government and Bibi Netanyahu, and there's Jewish people. And on that Bill Maher show, it was just about Islam. And Sam was talking about how there is Islam, the ideology, and there are Muslims, the people. And he's like, Islam is the motherlode of bad ideas. And Batman wasn't able to understand that he's saying the ideology, not the actual people. There's a difference. Ben Affleck, there we go. Thank you.
In 2000. But going on to the broader point that I wanted to make, I'm glad that we went through that because I think that there's been a lot of people on the internet that have said things that are not true. So that is the basis of the communications that we've had. And I was very aware of, obviously, like all of the Groypers tweeting when I got fired.
Yeah, lumps all Jews together, and I want to know if there is a reason to do that. I don't think there is, but I could be very wrong. So here he is to talk about that. Give me a reason to be like, oh yeah, I didn't realize. I thought, Jews were just people with a different religious belief. I'm willing to be anti-Semitic. I am willing to be anti-Semitic. But you got to give me a reason.
Genuinely didn't know what the Groyper movement was outside of seeing you guys kind of pop up on college campuses and begin to ask some questions that I actually thought were very fair and the questions that I hadn't considered. Why was I, when I was working at Turning Point USA, touring with Dave Rubin, who is a homosexual married man? Can you talk about, first and foremost, what a Groyper is and how the movement got started?
Well, it got started in 2019 when Charlie Kirk was doing his first big college tour. And
let me guess, you demanded that he debate you, and he didn't want to.
I forget actually the first one. I think it was in Colorado. And a couple of fans of my show, I didn't tell him to do this. Actually, people had asked me before, should we do this? Is this a good idea? And I said, no, I don't think so. But two guys who watched the show, they went out on their own. And I think the one guy asked a question about legal immigration. You're against illegal, but you're for legal immigration. How's that conservative? And then another guy came up and he said something about Israel.
How is that not conservative?
Well, you know, you seem to be Israel first. What about America? And the two clips blew up on Twitter, and I promoted them on my show. I said, that was unbelievable. That was really awesome. I said, because, you know, if we show up in MAGA hats and rosaries, who we are, you know, which is pro-Trump Catholics, and we present as the real right wing, this is unignorable. And people will start to ask these questions. So the following day, he did another event, I think in Iowa. Once again, there were a couple of Groypers asking these types of questions. Then the third day, New Hampshire.
So remember how we talk about the wokies and we say, what is a woman? And they say, a woman is anyone who feels like a woman. You say, you can't answer the question of woman or define the word woman using the word woman. The question is, what is a Groyper? What is a Groyper? And he's using, I mean, come on.
In Iowa. Once again, there were a couple of Groypers asking these types of questions. Then the third day, New Hampshire, same story. And I remember doing a show covering the latest batch of clips. It turned into a thing. We were covering them on the show every night, the clips of these questions. And at that time, Groyper was a meme.
Definitely could be read that way. Definitely could be read that way. Libby said, that's why whether Nick's a plant or not, we should all just ignore him. His intention is not clarity or truth. And now, I personally can say that I agree with this because I've taken the time now to listen to him. But before today, I hadn't. And so other people that I trusted were saying, Nick Fuentes no good. And by virtue of me trusting them about being right about other things in the past, I trusted them. But I still need to see it for myself. And here we are. Here we are. Yep. You're starting I don't know what that is.
It was like Pepe the Frog, and there's a few variations. There's Pepe, Marv, Apu, and Groyper was one of them. And Groyper's like a big cartoon frog.
Why?
Oh, okay. I learned that right now, that a Groyper is a frog. Okay, interesting. Shout out to Indie Film. Welcome to the party. Thank you for the $5 make you holler. Of course, a treat for Morty. Indie Film says, Nick just seems like a grifter. Candace firing on all 12 cylinders. She believes in everything she's talking about. I mean, agreed, but they're not talking about anything that heavy. All she's saying is, yo, I didn't fucking know who you were. You're accusing me of trying to gatekeep you, and that just didn't happen. That just didn't happen. But yeah, she is in the pocket. Thank you, sir. Very, very appreciated. We said, let's dress like MAGA. Sounds like a psyop to me. Agreed.
Marv, Apu, and Groyper was one of them. And Groyper's like a big cartoon frog.
Why is it named Groyper?
I don't know.
I literally don't know what Groyper means.
It came from a Twitter account called That Groyper. He just named it Groyper.
Okay, so it just doesn't mean anything.
No,
Okay.
yeah,
It's like Skibbity.
It was technically called Easter Toad was the drawing, the proprietary drawing. But then some Twitter users started calling it Groyper. And at that time,
gay. This is so gay. This is so gay.
You know, people would personalize the Groypers and make them an avatar. So, you know, they'd have different themes and different personalities. And
base, bro. My Groyper is more base than your Groyper.
Groyper became synonymous with like a far right, like retard. Like a Groyper was like,
okay, well,
this
at least
guy
they're
is
self-aware.
painfully, obnoxiously far right.
Okay.
And so I said on my show, imagine you're Charlie Kirk. You're standing up there on the stage sweating, and you have a line of Groypers asking you questions about the USS Liberty and dancing Israelis. I said, what must be going through his head? And ever since then, they took the Groyper
banner there. Thank you again, Indie Film, guys. That is 5 out of 15. We are 1/3 of the way there on numbers, and we are way past the halfway mark with $34 out of 50. Let's hit that goal.
for standing upright, because the famous picture is he's sitting down like this. But they took a picture of the Groyper standing upright, and there was a meme at the time.
Sorry, quality. I missed you over here. Yeah, Chromie, I'm willing to be anti-Semitic. You don't hear those words very often. I'm open-minded. I'm willing to go there, but you have to give me a reason. Well, he said, I thought a Groyper was a Catholic who sees Nick as the Pope. Got him. Got him. Yup. They're turning the Groypers gay.
I'm of Alex Jones walking down an alleyway, and they copy pasted a bunch of Alex Jones. They said
It's too bad. It's too bad I was an ever-Trumper at the time. It's too bad I was an ever-Trumper at the time. But I saw what was good.
Jones walking down an alleyway, and they copy pasted a bunch of Alex Jones. They said it was an army of Alex Jones. And so someone took that meme and they did it with Groypers. They had an army of Groypers marching down the alley. And I said, that's us. That's the Groypers lining up to ask Charlie Kirk a question. So that was the origin of the name.
Okay, interesting. I was always wondering, I'm like, what does Groyper actually mean? And
Okay, so now, why not just Israel and the Jews?
so it's a lot of people that have these anonymous accounts. And like I said, we'll show a clip of it, but I thought it was very interesting because it was, I guess, questions that I hadn't really grappled with, which is...
Shout out to Harambe! Oh, Harambe! Where is it? Everybody can go to TheIndianJesus.com and get your very own. We've got shirts, we got men, we got women, we got a whole bunch of stuff. You can get a sticker or a zip pouch for your pencils. You can even get a phone case in this or any design over at TheIndianJesus.com.
I'm on stage, I'm saying that I'm a Christian, and yet I'm touring with somebody who is a homosexual married man. How do I reconcile that? And rather than kind of getting the answer, I think I particularly remember one clip with what is his name? I'm totally blanking here. It's a Black Army vet. I know his name.
Smith.
Rob Smith. It was a moment with Rob Smith. And I think
So, what do you mean it got banned? Banned from what? Banned from what?
somebody shouted down the person and said that they...
Hey, I missed this one. Box said I was supposed to be debt free today. I was $1,300 off. Still feeling good, but good job. Good job. There you go, brother. There you go. And we got Liberty Plus TV with Interview Friday. Hey, I better see you. I want to know how that interview goes. Hell yeah. Good for you guys.
So yeah, it was a moment with Rob Smith. And I think somebody shouted down the person and said that they were homophobic. Like the question is homophobic. And at that moment I went, yeah, you can't do that. You got to actually answer the question. There could be an answer, but we can't be like the left and just calling people names because we don't maybe want to confront that there is some substance to this question. But then you guys kind of, or maybe it sounds like it did start as an online movement. Who are the Groypers behind the scenes? Do you have communication with these people? Yeah. They're real, obviously they're real human beings. My point is that, like, is this movement, like, you guys are all in a group chat and you know these individuals?
I would have framed this. Is this like Antifa, where we're all under the same umbrella, but it's different chapters, or like you, the head Groyper, and everybody is in like one Discord community or whatever?
Can we get a demographic? Are they older? Are they younger? Who are
definitely
the
not
Groypers?
older.
Well, they are real human beings. They're all young white men, or there's other men too. I mean, some of them are Hispanic, some of them are Black, some of
more identity politics.
Some of them are Jewish for that matter. But
there's Jewish Groypers. I mean, there's queers for Palestine, so
other men too. I mean, some of them are Hispanic, some of them are Black, some of them are Jewish for that matter. But they're mostly young men, college age, Generation Z. Some of them even high school aged, and all of them very Christian, very Catholic. Also, they're fans of the show. You know, a lot of people say have this cult-like following. People watch the show and they adopt the political viewpoint, the religious viewpoint. And so they're basically far-right, pro-America, Catholic, at that time.
Identity politics, woke.
Big Trump supporters and young guys.
Okay. All right. We have to watch another Nick Fuentes clip. I think we should definitely watch. Let's watch the first one that you showed me, Skylar.
Okay. Hopefully this is getting into the issues and the positions a little bit more. Then why didn't you want to talk to me?
Why is it that Candace Owens will interview Harvey Weinstein before she'll talk to me?
So true.
Am I really that
so glad you
bad?
agree with yourself.
Wait, well, I'm sorry. I was reading
before she'll talk to me.
So true.
Okay, so this is definitely from last month then, because the Harvey Weinstein was either early in July or the right before that.
Am I really that
so glad you
bad?
agree with yourself.
People said when Candace.
I told you. What did I tell you? Didn't I tell you? Because I told you. And when did I tell you? A long time ago. And what did I say when I told you? Exactly what just happened.
It's almost like I know what I'm talking about, yeah? Quality said there were actually Jews who fought for the Nazis in World War II. I mean, that kind of makes sense. They're like, don't kill me, I'll work for you. I can see that. I can see that. Yeah, but I mean, that's the idea here, is by making a clear distinction of what the woke right is and continuing to point it out, then we can identify it and then see that, oh, okay, we can dismiss people on virtue, but also with a quick practicality. And so to say someone is woke essentially boils down to, oh, I don't need to worry about their opinion. But it's not just that they are, they're threatening to my position, because you do want to engage with those people. It's that they're not playing the game by the same rules. They're not playing the game by the same rules. That's another good point too. Yeah, a lot more people know who Harvey Weinstein is than Nick Fuentes. Many saw it as defending the fatherland. I mean, I can say it. I don't necessarily have strong feelings about the different sides, but I can see it. So the word and the vibe kind of met there a little. Yep. I'm telling you, I know what I'm talking about.
Am I
So
really
glad,
that
so glad you agree
bad?
with yourself.
People said when Candace Owens split with Daily Wire, people begged her to do a collaboration with me. They said, talk to Nick Fuentes. You stole all his talking points. Talk to Nick Fuentes. You get all your ideas from him, all your slogans.
Look how pleased he is with himself.
Was a martyr. He made the sacrifices that made it popular for you to do this. She said, oh, I can't because I'm on YouTube, but I also can't have him on my website because of some lawsuit.
That's so crappy to me. That part's really crappy to me. I have to say,
Are we
watching
doing
it
this
back,
again?
no, I do want to say, we don't have to get into it, but that's crappy to me, because it was like, I don't know. I just think that I try to do a really good job of being a human being offline. You know what I mean? And if people are going through stuff or whatever, and that was real, like, that's not like, oh my God, like she's trying to be a victim. It was very real. My life
Who cares about your life and your lawsuit? I want to be on your show.
was kind of, you saw, it was thrown up in the air, but we don't need to focus on that. But I do want to get to the point. Do you actually believe that I was getting all my ideas from you? Like, do you actually believe that I was watching Cozy TV? Because then somebody showed me a clip of you saying the same thing, because I guess you said in the same week, or you said last week, I was talking about this. Now this week, Candace is talking about it. And it was pertaining to the PBS documentary, The Savage Piece, which was about the German.
The Savage Piece? I've never heard of that. I have not heard Andrew or seen Owen Benjamin's recent take on anything. But feel free to let me know. Yeah, that's the question. That's the question, right?
Pertaining to the PBS documentary, The Savage Piece, which was about the German genocide that took place after the war had ended. And that documentary opened up my eyes a lot to the fact that we had only been told kind of one strand regarding World War II. And I told my audience they should watch it. And there was a clip of you kind of suggesting that I got that from you. So did you actually believe that I had gotten that from you, or that I was watching your show and stealing your ideas?
Not that one. I don't know what that.
I used to listen to I used to follow him on Twitter, and I didn't necessarily agree with all the things that he said, but I appreciated what he was doing. And then it just got further and further and further and further off the rails until I was like that.
That's all about the German thing. But look, I mean, you left Daily Wire with the whole Christ is King, America first. For years, that's what I was known for. Now, if you want to say you never heard of me until a couple of years ago,
No, I heard of you in 2019.
You said
I didn't know that until after the fact. I didn't know until after I knew before right now, but I'm saying when the phrase America first started getting thrown around on the level of where I heard about it, I didn't know who the fuck Nick Fuentes was. And said the IndianJesus is stealing all of my political points on theoretical particle physics. We gotta get back into that. I haven't seen you in the after party, bro.
Earlier, though, that you didn't really watch anything or know anything until about a year ago.
Yeah.
If that's what you say, okay, that's fine. But it'd be a pretty stunning coincidence. And And I will say, I heard from other people, I'm not going to say who, but I heard from a mutual friend, he watched my show back in 2020. Maybe that person's lying. I don't know that, but I'd heard that from multiple people. So.
You can name the person because I'm telling you. So, and I'll ask you this question again. So you said Christ is king. So that's very interesting. So you think that any person that says Christ is king?
Oh, no, I didn't say that.
Okay, because I actually do want to understand this. I'm genuinely pushing back here because I was very confused by this. I'm like, Ye just named his whole album Jesus is King, right?
Well, from what I understand, it was not America First was not nearly as Jesus Christ. From what I understand, the America First, that phrase, was not as popular on like the national scale, like the mainstream media scale, until after Nick was using that. But it's not because we were watching Nick and we're like, oh, we're gonna steal that. It's just, just like MAGA. It's just a kind of basic idea that we want to make America great again. And to do that, we have to put America first. And we're dealing with issues of our government not putting us first. So naturally, we're like, hey, put America first.
Used by this. I'm like, Ye just named his whole album Jesus is King, right? Or 2 albums ago was Jesus is King. It was definitely a moment, a cultural zeitgeist that had this rapper to come out and start singing about Christ like he did early on when he did the Jesus Walk stuff. And I was just like, does Nick actually believe? Like, I genuinely was not watching your show. It's the only thing I can tell you.
Okay.
I have friends that were, I will definitely say, male men between the ages of
mailmen are USPS. That's who's listening to Nick Fuentes. The mailmen. Hey, shout out to Indie Film and shout out to Bourbon. Drink up. Dilly dilly to you, sir. And of course, a treat for Morty. Thank you, sir. Where does that leave us, guys? We are at 6 out of 15 and 39 out of 50, guys. 39 out of 50. I think we can hit the goal. I think we can hit it.
Friends that were,
y'all saw how Sarah from the Raging Tomato was like, fuck you, pay me. I ain't like that. I'm just trying to live, baby. I'm trying to live and I'm trying to bulk up. Let's do it.
We'll definitely say male men between the ages of like 30 and 40 are watching your show. Yeah. And I would say 40 and beyond, like I just said, are watching your show. I would imagine you have a very male internet savvy audience. I am terrible at the internet. Like, I mean, it is embarrassing. I'm basically a grandma when it comes to the internet. My husband thinks he's like, how are you a person that people watching the internet? You don't even know how to use the internet. I just don't love tech. Tech is not really my thing. I like to communicate. I'm a woman. I like to.
Okay, boomer.
To speak, but I don't really like to figure out how all this stuff works. And so once you got banned, I wouldn't have seen your stuff. But then as soon as you were back on Twitter, I started seeing your clips all the time because you started trending. Like you were trending the day that you got let back onto X, you were trending. And I was like, okay, Nick is trending. Clips recently just were trending about you. So
Dylan says, when we say America first, we don't mean America only, unless you're a woke right bigot leftist type who does believe it to mean that. I've wondered who was listening to Nick these days. I think we all are. Shout out to James Q Legend. Welcome to the party. Said when ICE gets a hold of your Indian ass, there'll be a beating for sure. Well, it's a good thing that I've got a passport, a social security card, and an American birth certificate, baby.
I think if you had been on X that whole time and you said, you're like, you've never seen my stuff, that would be a little ridiculous. But genuinely, like when you're starting a family and like as soon as I am done with the podcast, I got to be like straight back into mommy mode. It's just, I just don't think that many women are watching you. Is that fair?
Yeah, like I said, if that's what you're saying, then I believe you.
100% the truth. Genuinely didn't get any of my ideas from you, and then was being accused of getting all of my ideas from you. So
she's like, honey, sweetie, listen, women don't want to go to cozy.tv. All right, trust me.
Obviously, there must have been naturally something that was happening where what I was saying or what I was noticing, people were going, oh, Nick Fuentes has spoken about this already.
Yeah. Well, I mean, those were like things that I was known for when we would disrupt Turning Point, which is where you worked at, or Daily Wire.
I saw the Groyper stuff.
Which you also worked there. They would go in chanting, Christ is King, and they were the Groypers. And if you were aware of the Groyper War and Ye24 and me on Twitter last year.
I saw
the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you, sitting in that Timcast room after Milo and after Ye storms out and Milo's smart enough to be like, oh, I'm gonna go check on him, and then he's just sitting there like, I don't know what to do.
Literal clips of them asking questions that were going viral.
Okay.
They weren't chanting Crisis King. They were just the literal clips of them. And I thought it was smart. It made me challenge some of my ideas. So I will give you credit where credit is due, or the students that were asking those questions, credit where credit is due.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times conservatives, we say things and we say them because everyone else is doing it. Same thing with the reason I think
I'm gonna just let you know, bro. If you try to troll like that over here, you don't have to do better than that.
both of us started as being pro-Israel. It just was everybody else is doing it. It feels good. You are kind of young and excited about the ideas. And then you kind of go, oh, wait, something's wrong. And both of us kind of dealt with this punch in the face.
Right. Yeah. Well, I was 18. You know what I'm saying? I was 18. So, I was, I don't know that I was doing it because everybody else was doing it. I was doing it because that was just the first thing I read, because that was the stuff that was out there. And then, and then you went through it. And hey, and likewise, credit where it's due. Maybe I've been unfair to you. I don't know you.
No.
And like you said, we talked once.
No, you think you've been unfair to Candace Owens? I don't know about that.
Twice.
We finally got there.
No, but it's true. And I've
Okay, so can we talk about Israel now?
this is the first time I've met you and I don't know you. So, and I'm willing to admit if I'm wrong, maybe I've been unfair to you. But for what it's worth, they did put you through the ringer, and I don't even need to tell you that. You know it, and everyone knows it, and it sucks.
I actually thought you were a Fed at one point.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm sitting here going, this makes no sense. I literally just am being punched in the face 1,000 times. Everyone's coming after me. What did I do? I tweeted the hashtag Christ is King, and like my whole life is over. And now I kind of understand that it was because people were watching your show and they were
right.
And truly, people can just be ignorant. It's just like I said, it's not female content. I would not describe you as like all the moms are lining up to watch Nick Fuentes.
Some moms love me.
Some moms love you, I'm sure.
Moms,
but as a rule,
yeah, the moms of the kids who actually watch you. Like, look, Mom, it's Nick. Oh, well, that's sweet, honey. Yeah, those moms like you. But
cool. I don't think that we're watching your show. And so I think it was kind of this thing that they definitively believe that there was some sort of coordination going on between you and I.
No,
but
there wasn't.
It was it sucked. I'm not gonna lie. It was not an easy year last year.
All right, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. We are coming up on the 2.5 hour mark. So we will, he does. It's not uninteresting what he says in the beginning. It's just very kind of boilerplate. So we will jump back, but let's take a little hop ahead and see if they're actually talking about anything interesting.
Dan, if you're actually, you think that it's all Black people are like this, or if you're
all right, now we're getting to it.
White trash of white people.
It's like I want to live in a white race. This craze where everything was racist. It's sort of this recognition that we live in a heavily racial world, and look, sometimes we have racist feelings. Racist feelings like I want to live in a white neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to live in a Black neighborhood. They're all
well. The question would be: is that inherently racist? Maybe, but either way. Actually, let's do a poll there. And of course, the current one, what are your feelings on Nick Fuentes? Most of you, the overwhelming majority of you said, I don't pay him much attention, with 23% of you saying you love him. So interesting. So I'm going to make that a poll. And is it racist?
Post-racist. You're sort of after this craze where everything was racist. It's sort of this recognition that we live in a heavily racial world, and look, sometimes we have racist feelings like I want to live in a white neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to live in a Black neighborhood. If they're all like you, obviously it'd be a different story, but when we think of a Black neighborhood, we know what that means and why the property value.
But that's cheap. Black American. So this is why I want to understand this idea better, because, and this is kind of something my cousin has said, which I guess you could say is a racist statement, but she says that white people in America are the white trash of white people in the world, meaning that like there's a special category.
Y'all are white trash of the world.
Of uniquely that you don't see when you're dealing with like white Americans here, that if you went across to like Switzerland, you wouldn't see this version of a white person necessarily, or this, you maybe went to the continent of Africa, you don't see this version of a Black person either. Like even if you went to the tribes out in Africa that still exist, they would be a far cry from a Black American living in a neighborhood in Compton, right? So I'm trying to understand if you think that it's
Yeah, unfortunately, we know that Jubilee is like Nazis and will claim anything, so we can't cover that unless we are willing to, do what we need to do. But yeah, I agree. I saw that. I saw that. It was interesting, and there was definitely a lot of Nick influence there.
Right?
Mhm.
So I'm trying to understand if you're actually, you think that it's all Black people are like this, or if your world is kind of colored by this is what's going on in America. This has failed for 1,000 reasons. Welfarism has definitely, Black people in 1940s, stand up. My grandfather,
Yeah, I would agree, Liberty, that most of the raciality, yes, that is now a word that I just made up, but the racialization of stuff comes from a very small but loud minority, the same way the trans stuff did. So we don't live in a trans world. We don't live in a racial world because most people don't care about that stuff. But the people who do care about that stuff are incessant. They are incessant. They are obsessed with it.
I talk about that denigration and the corrosion of
Yeah.
culture. That's happening. White, Black, whatever you want to name it, there is this intentional corrosion of culture. So do you think it's literally, well, this is just what a Black person is when they come out? Or do you think that post welfare, LBJ, Great Society, this is what Black Americans have become, and I have a right to respond to that and say that as a white man, I don't want to live there?
Anyville said my subdivision of, I don't know, a couple hundred people has my subdivision of a couple hundred people has one or two Black families, one or two Asian families, and nobody here gives a fuck. So I will say that is even what Nick just said. He was talking about a Black neighborhood. I don't want to live in a Black neighborhood. I want to live in a white neighborhood. But what did he say? He caveated. He even caveated. He was like, well, if they were all like you, then it'll be fine. And so the fact that in your subdivision, you have some familiarity with the Black families and the Asian families, then that's going to color your opinion. What would happen if all of your white neighbors moved out at the same time and all of those houses were filled with Black families? You might be like, you know what I mean? Liberty said, Nick is the definition of woke right. Although I'd say he's really a leftist since he's pretty socialist. I don't know his actual opinions that closely, but I mean, see, that's the thing. The wokeness, it really messes with the left-right paradigm. And so I don't think he's a leftist. He's just really woke on the right. And, we have the political horseshoe where you have the opposite sides come and meet again. Quality said someone has never been to Scotland. What happened in Scotland?
This is what Black Americans have become, and I have a right to respond to that and say that as a white man, I don't want to live there.
Well, I think it's more nature than people would like to believe. There's this classic tension of, is it nature, is it nurture? Is it cultural, or is it intrinsic? Is it racial? And I've always been on the latter side of this among conservatives. Conservatives like to say it's all culture. Black America is the way it is because of hip hop music and the Great Society and that kind of stuff. And I think the uncomfortable reality is a big part of it is intrinsic. One of the big arguments against the abolition of slavery in the 1860s is that, when Europeans colonized Africa, they hadn't discovered the wheel. There's no two-story buildings. There's no writing. There's no written language. Missionaries had to go to Africa in the last century and invent it for the African people because they.
Yeah, Chloe said, I think Nick wants a king. I don't think he is a socialist. I don't think so. I get the connection there because of that horseshoe, and we see a lot of the behaviors and mentalities that we saw with the woke leftists. It's just that he's a woke. He's on the woke right.
There's no recorded history. They didn't have writing.
So Egypt is not in Africa.
Well, Egypt is a different race. The Egyptians were not Black.
Okay, but you said when they went to Africa, so I just want to.
The interior of Africa in the late 19th century, scrambled for Africa.
So we're now knocking Egypt out of Africa.
Well, Egypt is part of Northern Africa,
Right, but it's
Sub-Saharan
Africa.
Africa.
You said Africa, so I'm not trying to get a gotcha. I'm just responding. You're saying
Okay, sure.
Africa.
Yeah.
It's in Africa. It's Egypt. It's kind of ridiculous that there was no written language.
Well,
so I'm just trying to get you to
Sure.
you know,
Egyptians are not
if
Africans.
I'm not pushing back, the internet will. So
Egyptians are not racial Africans. When I say African, I'm saying Sub-Saharan Africans.
Sub-Saharan. Okay,
Black people because it is a different race. In Sub-Saharan Africa, and Europeans did not penetrate that until the late 19th century. They didn't have any of this. To the extent that you have infrastructure in Africa, it's from the Muslims in the Sahel and the Maghreb in Northern Africa, where the Arabs colonized. And then you had, Carthage and Egypt, you had ancient civilizations, but Sub-Saharan Africa, they didn't have that. You take these people out of that land and put them here, and they're enslaved people. You let them free in a modern, liberal republic, they're not going to succeed. It's not going to go well for them. And that was one of the arguments against abolition. People said if you free them without any assimilation, without any kind of process for them to be acclimated, they're going to die. And that's exactly what happened.
And I don't agree with that, because I think it's an ongoing cultural issue. I've talked before about the Black community being the worst thing for Black Americans. And so it might be that initially when people were slaves and they were freed, then there was an adjustment period. But we all know Black people who do just fine. We all know Black people who do just fine. And we all know white people and Asians and Mexicans who ain't doing shit with their lives. So it's just the identity politics. Jew equals this, Black equals this, white equals this. That is first order thinking, and that is the epitome of wokeness. Many
of the bottom 10% of the lowest IQ Africans just died off for generations. And it had pardon the expression, but it had a eugenic effect, because over time, if
like the Sydney Sweeney ad?
If the weakest are dying off, that's one argument for why Blacks in America have a standard deviation higher IQ than the Blacks in Sub-Saharan Africa. So, so I do believe there is something intrinsic going on there. And what if you're bringing up the fact, let's back it up. Maybe I missed it, because I thought he said that Black Americans on average have a higher IQ than Sub-Saharan Africans, which would then mean that it is very obviously not biological and nature and environmental or nurture, because then you would expect the same levels because they're Black people. And if that's what the makeup of Black people is, why would being in America or Africa or anywhere else change a person's IQ? It's almost like culture matters more than skin color. You woke little bitch. You woke little bitch. Buck said something like 50% of Black males get arrested for a violent crime. A sad stat. Yeah, damn. Someone else fact check. Yeah. Yep. Their brains are different. Makes people uncomfortable about this is the idea that it's unchangeable.
But you just, we're going to back it up, because I want to make sure I heard that right. Because I thought that's what I was thinking. He said American Blacks have a higher IQ on average than Sub-Saharan Africans. That would, and correlation is not causation, but it would certainly be evidence against the fact that Black people are inherently as different as their skin, to put it in box words.
Expression, but it had a eugenic effect, because over time, if the weakest are dying off, that's one argument for why Blacks in America have a standard deviation higher IQ.
Okay, so that's not what he's saying. He's not saying automatically. He's saying that
that's
the weakest dying off. And so I think that the ability to survive in general is better in America than it is in Sub-Saharan Africa. So the weaker people are dying off, whereas in America, the weaker people are just on bankroll. But then still, that would then mean, oh my God.
Stupid.
Nick, if all of the weak are dying off in Africa, then why wouldn't their IQ be higher? Because the weak, dumb Black people are still here, whereas the weak, dumb black people in Africa died off, then you would expect a higher rate of IQ.
Stupid.
It on its face, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Absolutely, genetics play a role, but it is more about your parents and your ancestry than it is about your skin color. So if you have, again, if you have two dumb white people fuck, you're more likely to have a dumb white kid. If two black people fuck, you're more likely to have a smart black person. That plays way more of a role than the color of the melanin count.
Eugenic effect, because over time, if the weakest are dying off, that's one argument for why blacks in America have a standard deviation higher IQ than the blacks in sub-Saharan Africa. So
yeah, no. So that's you've just gone in the complete wrong direction. In the complete wrong direction. If the weak are dying off in Africa, that means only the strongest survive. So the average would be higher because here we have the weak, dumb ones. So that would bring the average down. So if despite that, the level is higher in America, then that is the opposite of your point. That is the opposite of what you were arguing for.
Stupid.
So I do believe there is something intrinsic going on there. And what makes people uncomfortable about this is the idea that it's unchangeable. There's something about, and this is why I'm a Catholic, we do have an inherent desire for universalism. We do believe that there's a common humanity, and a common human community, and all of that. We hate the idea that we're born a certain way and we can never change. And that's just the way it is. And we even think about this in terms of, it's become not so popular these days to tell children, you can be whatever you want to be. Because we know that's not the case. Some people are tall, some people are short, some people are smart, some dumb, some ugly, some handsome. That's why, by the way, incel dumb is a big part of this also.
So you believe these are immutable characteristics that are assigned at birth?
I think that, yes.
For the most part.
Things like race, all those attributes.
Well, those obviously, but I think she was talking about the IQ and stuff like that. Guys, we are past the 2-hour mark. If you would like to keep the party raging, you know how to do it.
Characteristics that are assigned at birth.
I think that, yes.
For the most part.
Things like race, all those attributes are immutable and unchangeable. And
but they have changed. Just factually speaking, they have changed.
They change over time, over the generations.
Okay, so then you don't think it's immutable, because if this was an immutable
person. Exactly.
Okay, so
Candace clocked it.
Then you don't think it's immutable, because if this was an immutable
individual person.
Okay, so you're saying that if you are born at this space and time as a black person in America, here is the cards that you're dealt with, and you can't change that over time.
Something like IQ does not change. Doesn't change wildly.
I would not even be half surprised. Not even half surprised.
It only changes genetically over. IQ is a big one, and that's a genetic trait. And so that can change over the generations, but you can't take an individual that's 75 IQ, which is the average in West Africa, and take them to 100.
So two dumb people can't produce a smart person.
I believe they can, actually.
Yeah.
But
so does that kind of debunk your?
No.
Yep.
Because it's rare that happens, but.
Is it though? Is it though?
IQ is a heritable trait, so it's unlikely that happens.
Okay.
And do you not recognize that there's group differences in IQ? Or?
I think that there's group differences, but okay. I wouldn't say, and the reason why I'm pushing back on this is
that they're immutable. Oh my goodness! Shout out to Indie Film, $22, and that gets us over the goal. Thank you. Just throwing an extra push-up on there, an extra push-up. Thank you so very, very much. And of course, that makes you the new sponsor of the stream. And guys, don't forget, just because we have hit the goal does not mean that you can't torture me anymore. Every $2 is another push-up that I have to do. So let's get them up there. Thank you so very, very much, sir. We're going to be building tonight.
Is an IQ? Or?
I think that there's group differences, but okay. I wouldn't say, and the reason why I'm pushing back on this is because those perspectives that you hold, Thomas Sowell did a really good job debunking that. Mm-hmm. And I think the book is called Intellectuals and Race, and he opens up and makes a very sound argument that these
Wait.
characteristics are not immutable. And
Wait, hold on. I'm bad at math. 39. Oh, hold on. 39. 39 plus 22. 61. Okay. I knew that. I knew that.
that it can be your environment. And he kind of goes back and discusses, like, who had the highest IQ and who now has the highest IQ. And so I just disagree with you fundamentally, but you have a right to have that perspective.
So you don't think that there's group differences on average between the races?
I think, just to be clear,
She just said yes. She just said yes.
you have a right to have that perspective.
I'm doing math and I'm updating banners and stuff, and I can still listen better than you can. Come on, Nick.
The highest IQ and who now has the highest IQ. And so I just disagree with you fundamentally, but you have a right to have that perspective.
So you don't think that there's group differences on average between the races?
I think, just to be clear, I think there would be group differences if you took it, like we were talking about, an American versus somebody who graduates college in Europe. There'd be tremendous differences. I
Not
truly,
tremendous, but yeah, there would be
there's
Shout out
differences.
again to our new sponsor of the
But you
stream.
So
don't think
I
that
think
racially there's differences between races?
I think, yeah, because we have huge differences culturally. So going to your point of saying, I don't want to live in a black neighborhood, well, neither does LeBron James when he gets money, right?
Right.
And there's a
Facts. 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 We are at 50-50 on the poll, guys. I don't want to live in a black neighborhood. Is that a racist statement? Yes or no? Plus said he talks a lot. He's always playing the victim. He's emotionally unhinged. Like the wokies do. He's basically Rabbi Shmuley. Oh my God. He's the anti-Dylan Mulvaney and the anti-Rabbi Shmuley. Oh my goodness. My goodness. Dylan said if Gen Z Adolf turns out to be partially Jewish, I'll laugh so loud you can all hear me. So will I. So will I. Buck said, not on an individual level. If you are 50 IQ, you will just be 50 IQ. Oh, well, I had the right timing, but I didn't think I hit the button. Two Christians fighting with evolution. Dogma, baby. Dogma. Liberty said Andrew Wilson thinks he's an expert grifter, but getting people to pay you to work out is God tier. Hey, I appreciate it. Anyville said, my family tree research has shown that most people are descended from some sort of royalty, at least the white folks, and I would assume it's the same for most other ethnicities. Well, dilly to the king. Indie King, our sponsor of the stream. But this is a great point that she just made. That LeBron James doesn't want to live in a black neighborhood either. Is that because of the fact that people are black, or is it the implications, the cultural implications that come with a black community or a black neighborhood?
want to live in a black neighborhood, well, neither does LeBron James when he gets money, right?
Right.
And there's a reason for that,
Mhm.
because there is something that's happening culturally in Black America that's been going on for a very long time. But that thing,
Yup. And to our poll, that was close. That was close. But 60% of you said no, that is not racist. And I agree. Now, if you were to extend that and say, I don't want to live in a black neighborhood because of the fact that they're black, that would be racist. But if you're saying, I don't want to live in a black neighborhood because typically in black neighborhoods, you have more crime and drugs and so on and so forth, then that's not racist. It's just facts.
argue didn't exist in
What about in Africa and Haiti? I mean, they're killing and eating each other in Africa and Haiti. Everywhere where they are, you have these problems.
yeah,
People are
I'd like
killing
to
each
look
other
into
everywhere. People are killing each other everywhere. What point are you making? You're just fucking saying things. Make a point, bro.
and I'm pleading ignorant, but I've heard some things about what happened in Haiti and what the Clinton Foundation did there. So I think I'd have to look more into the history of Haiti to be able to push back on that at all. I don't think I agree with that.
What about all of Africa then? There's not one country in sub-Saharan Africa that's successful. Not one. They're all least developed countries. They're all failed
Yeah.
states.
This kind
And that has nothing to do with colonialism, with wars. It's just black. Just black. You know, blacks, right?
of reminds me, and we could kind of flesh out this conversation together, and I'm not perhaps ready to have it fully, but I do remember going back to Dave Smith, where he was conceding a point
You mean the Jew?
on, well, all of these other Middle Eastern countries, no, you wouldn't want to live there. You want to live in Israel. In my mind, I'm going, well, because you just keep bombing the crap out of them if they ever try to get ahead. I remember watching this clip of him saying that, going, why don't these countries get ahead? And kind of going back in my mind to the Gaddafi speech where he was speaking essentially about, here's what we got to do in Libya to get ahead. Here's what we're going to do with the dollar, and we're going to be progressive and this and that. And they killed him. And then what happened to those Libyan refugees? Suddenly they're now pouring into, just like he said was going to happen, that they were now pouring into the European continent, and Europeans are complaining, who are these people? And so the question is, are we allowing, because I'm like, Africa's a pretty rich country. Like, why aren't Africans controlling the diamond trade?
And Dylan's talking about the Afrikaners. No sympathy for them? Actually, I think he would probably be on board. But Dylan said, let's say the black neighborhood thing does require context. And so the fact that it requires context means that it's not inherently racist. Because if there's context that you can add to make it not racist, then it's not racist. And so unless the person who says it is overtly racist, and you can make the judgment that, oh, you are saying this because you don't like their skin color, that's racism. Understanding, sad shit happens. Don't make it not true.
Taking all of the diamonds so that they can't control the diamond trade. And how long have these people been doing that? Being essentially culture vultures. That's kind of the journey that I've been on.
Shout out to Hotel Rwanda.
Now, in terms of really trying to go back and look at history to see what's happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I never trust myself when I have a perspective now, because I realize how much of my opinions and beliefs were shaped by the public school system.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't think you're right. I think that there has been a very sophisticated effort to, just like you would say now, in terms of people that are intentionally attacking Anglo-Saxons. I'm just learning about that there were these books that were written we must genocide the Anglo-Saxons that were going on for a lot longer than I realized. History didn't begin with World War II. But I think it would take a lot of time to kind of unpack that.
Yeah.
Like, are we stopping people from getting ahead just because, I don't know?
That just sounds, being honest with you, that just sounds to me like a left-wing argument when they say, why don't these countries get ahead? Colonialism, you're a colonizer. It's like, okay, but when we got there, they had no development. When we got to Africa, they had no technological development.
So you think that even if we weren't at war, and sure, you could say that you think that's a leftist argument. I would only push back on that because I've learned so much about just like recent history that I didn't know. But you think that the Middle East, like if we had done nothing in terms of the Middle East, that they would just be savages and just be like, America didn't do anything it doesn't set anything backwards, and you're just like bombing a place.
Yeah, kind of. I
don't necessarily disagree. But that does not mean that is because of genetics. There's a culture that exists. There's dogmas, and there's dictatorial structures that the Western world has made clear attempts to move away from, for good reasons or bad. That these things are not, and to just say, well, that's because they're black and they're savages. Like, okay, make the argument then. You can't just say it and expect people to buy in. Like, okay, maybe if America had never been in the Middle East, they would still be savages. I would argue that has a lot more to do with their ideologies, and the fact that it's okay to sleep with people in your family, multiple wives, and shit like that, among other things, than the fact that they are the color they are. It's not ethnicity or skin color. It is culture, at least here in the United States.
I think that we did set them back because when they don't have political order, it prevents development and investment and things like that. But
okay, but how is that not speaking out of both sides of your mouth? If we didn't do anything, then they would be savages, but we definitely set them back. I guess that's not contradictory, but
again, when you look at the antecedents of all these, the history didn't start, like you said, with World War II in the 20th century. There's a reason that European civilization created this enormous gap between them and everybody else. And I don't think it was that it was white supremacy or it was unfair or something like that. I think it's because
it was science. It was moving away from religious dogma and understanding that the world is governed by physical laws. Go ahead and argue against that.
Was that it was white supremacy or it was unfair or something like that. I think it's because Europeans are smarter. I think that on average, Europeans
So to
are
use your
smarter.
argument against you, that could be said about Ashkenazis. So if you're sitting here saying, I believe in some conspiracy and that it's a coordinated effort and blah, 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 they could look at you and say, that's a leftist argument. We're just smarter.
But wrong.
I
You
think they
agree?
are smart.
They
I
are
think
smart.
I think
Smarter.
they're
The
probably,
smartest.
well, I would say this. I would say they're probably as smart as the smartest white race. But the difference between the Jews and the white people is that they work as a team. And so if you look at,
I thought Jews were the enemy. I thought Jews were the enemy. And now you're saying we're teammates? I mean, you know, I'm not on the team, but you know what I mean?
between the Jews and the white people is that they work as a team.
Are you not supposed to like your teammates?
And so if you look at, for example, things like transportation, white people invented every mode of transportation, railroad, cars, airplanes, all of it. When you look at
Yeah, because of science.
fields of knowledge, white people invented all that.
Yeah, because of philosophy, which then turned into science.
Chemistry, anthropology, all that stuff. So white people really did give birth to the modern world in a major way. Jewish people are
Yeah, because of science.
high verbal IQ because they're lawyers, they're rabbis. That's what a rabbi is a lawyer. That's what the Talmud is. It's a lawyerly back and forth. And so they're skilled at some things, and you're not wrong. They're extremely educated, they're extremely intelligent. They're a unique case where, 2% of the population overrepresented 2,000%. Are they 2,000% smarter? Answer is no. Because if
Okay, so now, fine. Now we're actually getting down to a specific point. They're 2% of the population, but they're 2,000% of whatever fucking...
presented 2,000%.
And whatever it is. Doesn't fucking matter. Whether we're talking about money or banks or media or whatever. Fine. Okay, that is a weird thing. That doesn't make sense on its face. But you just saying that it's, isn't this weird? Doesn't mean anything. Make the argument, Nick. Make the argument. It seems to be his whole shtick. It's just like, isn't this weird? Isn't this weird? Isn't this weird? Stitches! That seems to be his whole thing. Give me a reason to think that you know what you're talking about. I've been aware of this overrepresentation in CEOs and media and stuff like that. But there's an overrepresentation of black people in the NBA. What does that mean? That black people are inherently better? What are we doing? What are we fucking doing? Everyone said Rome is the hub. Rome is the hub for modern civilization. And why is that? Galileo. Dylan said, and he wonders why Shapiro, Dave, and others won't touch him with a hazmat suit. And that's the immaturity. That's the immaturity. If you're going to be that guy, hey, it's America, Jack. You be that guy. But don't fucking sit there and cry that you've chosen to be that guy that nobody wants to talk to, and then nobody wants to talk to you. And then when somebody brings you on and is talking to you, you spend that time crying that she, who is talking to you, won't talk to him.
Come on, man.
Are they 2,000% smarter? Answer is no. Because if you look at the standardized testing,
Okay, so what is the answer then?
the top scores in the high school standardized
Because if you don't have an answer, all you're saying is, look at this.
no. Because if you look at the standardized testing, the top scores in the high school standardized tests are almost all Asians in math and science. Asians aren't overrepresented in power. It's Jewish people. So
It's almost like we have a culture in Asia that you're not supposed to be on this Americanized way of living.
Jewish people are not, proportionally as more intelligent as they are more overrepresented. And that
Okay, and so then how do you explain that difference?
goes to their
Oh, you don't. You just say,
proportionally as more intelligent as they are more overrepresented. And that goes to their real superpower, which is they're an organized minority. An organized minority will be the disorganized majority. as far as Africa is concerned, they didn't have the wheel. We got there, they didn't have the wheel. And it's unfortunate. It's not anything that people are happy about. I don't believe that makes Africans inferior.
You sure? No, not Africans, just blacks in general.
But I do think that explains their relative level of development that has been persistent over centuries, millennia.
Yeah.
Or, science.
I'd probably just disagree with that point altogether. Okay, so you do, so then at least you are agreeing that Jewish people are just born smarter.
Yeah, they're very high IQ. I don't know if they're smarter than white people, but
No, you have to, that's what the results say.
That's what some results say. Depends on what results you're looking at.
Okay. I thought that was kind of the, maybe I'm just reading it in one term, but I'm pretty sure that I read somewhere that like Ashkenazis have the highest IQs.
They like to embellish that. And there's different kinds of IQ. I think Chinese people.
Oh, now there's different kinds of IQ. Yeah, black people have lower IQ. Well, the Jews have higher IQ. Well, it depends on. How is this? What about this is not woke? What about anything that Nick is saying is not woke? I'll wait.
Will probably have the highest IQ, Chinese or Japanese.
But how do you pick and choose what you believe and what you don't believe?
Just whatever I feel like. Just trust me, bro.
And then form a basis like, well, I definitely believe that black people are dumb, but I totally don't necessarily believe. I'm obviously being a little bit hyperbolic here. But I totally don't necessarily believe that Ashkenazis are the smartest. Like, how do you
exactly? And again, no principles, just positions. It helps you to be able to say that blacks have a lower IQ, but when you talk about Jews having a higher IQ, we don't worry about that. We don't worry about that because that doesn't help the narrative. That doesn't help the narrative. Don said, putting the lid on the jar is essential for pouring the sauce out onto the plate, but I don't think we should risk opening the jar and spoiling the sauce inside. This is how it feels to listen. All right, fair enough.
Well, I said they're probably among the smartest races. As to who's the smartest, it's tough to say.
But again, Candace, drill down. Like, no. Okay, fine. But why are you drawing a direct connection between black people and their IQ and their behavior? But when it comes to these Jews, that there's more nuance. Why? And again, maybe there is an answer there, but he has not given it.
I think that Jewish people do embellish that for obvious reasons. Now, there are some studies that say that Ashkenazi Jews do have the highest average IQ, and that does exist.
Yeah, but so then for me, the reason why I'm skeptical of it all, to be honest with you, is because I'm skeptical of history, full stop. Right? So when you're like,
that's shit. Me too.
Well, this is what
do
we
you
did.
mean, all of history, or
skeptical of history, full stop, because we're living in a present right now where they're lying about what happened yesterday. And then when I realized, like, when you completely remove something that would obviously inform our perspectives in a different way, as I covered on my show this week, like the Havara agreement between the Zionists and the Nazis, like that's kind of a pretty big thing to not teach people in school. That would maybe inform and make us ask some questions when you.
I don't even know what that is.
Totally remove like a German genocide and only focus on one genocide, or don't focus on speaking about the Bolshevik Revolution. I don't question. I now have a lot of questions about history, full stop. And so he who prints the textbook is king.
Agreed.
And so if you are coming up with a concept like, well, this is an immutable trait, and I know because I read or I learned this at school or this textbook or I read this book, he who prints the textbook is king. And I'm kind of learning that right now in terms of Hollywood Babylon, relationship that the deep state has had with publishing agencies for a reason. You know this, I know this.
And this is what she's talking about right now, is why I am not somebody who spends a lot of time looking at I am more of a conceptual, philosophical guy, because exactly what she's saying, any facts that you're going to come across are going to have some level of bias. And that's not to say that you shouldn't familiarize yourself with details of an issue or an event or whatever it is, but it's just not as big of a focus, because people will be, well, in the court papers he said this and that, and then it's like, okay, but like, does that change the bottom line? If so, then all right. But if not, then why are we talking about something that doesn't actually mean anything? What, so you can get a point in the game of politics? I'm not interested in playing that game. This is real life.
You can't even get your book published.
Right.
If you want to get your book published because they're controlling the press, that's kind of been a running theme. Certainly was the reason why the Russian Tsar, they were pamphleteers at that time, but like certainly was the reason that he got overthrown was that they realized the power of the press. And so when people have perspectives like you and they're base it on like historical knowledge, this person invented the wheel. I'm like, I don't really know what's up and what's down, to be honest with you. I don't even believe in the moon landing.
Tartaria.
So, there you go. There's another one. There's something there.
Tartaria was that the thing that we were looking at about the buildings? I think one of you guys knew more about it than I did, but I think that's what that was. I mean, there's a lot of fake history.
That's very funny. That would
Not kidding.
But the point being is that, yeah, so the more that I learn, the one thing I learn is that we know very little. And so I would never make a sweeping conclusion like that confidently. It could be that some groups are more evil.
There you go. There you go. Maybe it's not that they are less smart. It's just that their priorities are different. And I think this is something I hate invoking Dunning-Kruger so often because it's overused, but I really do think it fits here. That he's a really smart kid. He knows a lot of facts. He has identified a lot of areas where things are sus. But because he has noticed those things, and then other people will brush him off or tell him that he's wrong, he assumes that he's got it all figured out. And I mean, I was kind of like that. I don't know if I was necessarily like that at 26, but like I said before, I was definitely like that at 18. And with people like this, you see that when you have a life-changing thing like that, and now you're that person, you're going to be the 18-year-old. You're going to grow and change like any normal person, but not as much because you are incentivized to be the person that you were when people started coming around.
They're willing to do stuff that you wouldn't do. They're willing to take your entire culture, your ideas, and purport that it was theirs. And
they're willing to blow themselves the fuck up. They're willing to blow up themselves and children because they think that there is a place that they're going to go and get 72 virgins. Okay.
And that's something that we're kind of tackling in my book club right now because we're realizing that the elites very much believed in this sort of Kabbalistic sexual ritual magic, but actually they stole it from Egyptians. And like Sigmund Freud was obsessed with the Egyptians, and we talked about Aleister Crowley. And so the more I learn about what they were obsessed with, I'm like, okay, so you're supposed to be like the brightest people in the world and you've had wealth forever. But I think you're willing to do more that most people that just have like a discerning, I don't know, just have the Holy Spirit, like just wouldn't do. And so does the most evil person get to the top? And then they get to say, well, we're just like what's going to happen, for example, bring it back to what we've been discussing. And I will give a specific example. I won't even mince words here. It shocked me to learn that Armand Hammer, you know, Armand Hammer, the actor.
Yeah.
He is racially Jewish. I know sometimes it's racist, sometimes it's ethnicity, sometimes it's religion, who knows? But Armie Hammer's family backstory is that his however many great-grandfathers named Armand Hammer was named Arm and Hammer, literally, okay? Because he was considered Stalin and Vladimir Lenin's favorite Jew, okay? Fascinating. And so what he would do is he would go between Russia and America. He would set up like all of these, his father was Julius Hammer, and he established the Diamond District. So you're telling me that when Christians were being mass murdered and their belongings were being taken, you got these guys going back and forth, establishing districts in America. They're peddling art. He started peddling art. He started peddling diamonds. I think that's stolen. Okay. So if our American history is going to teach us that like, oh, like the reason they established Armand Hammer's fortune is like they opened all these art galleries, it's stolen. You stole this from Christians that were being murdered and had all their stuff taken.
All right, Killmonger. All right, Killmonger. Oh, she going after Black Panther now.
We can apply that logic to what's happening in Palestine. Everyone thinks about, okay, it's very clearly what's happening is an ethnic cleansing. Where's all that stuff going? Are we going to in the future go, well, Palestinians just couldn't get ahead because, you know, they're just not that smart. You know, fundamentally, if you look at the IQ of Palestinian, the reason why they got ahead is because they weren't that smart and the Israelis were just really smart, or no, the Israelis were just evil. And so I am not comfortable with the conclusion that you've arrived at because I didn't.
And that is the maturity of the Dunning-Kruger effect, where is anybody not familiar with Dunning-Kruger? But you start at knowing nothing, and then you learn a little bit, and your confidence goes through the roof. You're like, oh, I never knew this. But then as you learn more, your confidence goes down and down and down and down and down and down and down until you realize, oh, fuck, I don't really know shit about shit. I got the first part, but there's so much here. And then you finally end up, if your confidence when you first was over here, now your confidence is here because you are able to learn more. And so that confidence is justified, but you still have the humility and awareness that I don't have it all figured out. And Nick does not have that humility or awareness.
Just pay attention to what's happening now, and what limited research that I've done, I'm like, well, some people are just a little more evil. Like,
Yeah.
they'll rewrite the books, and 50, maybe 100 years from now, they're going to say the Palestinians never had that land, and it was really a matter of people lying, and it was anti-Semitic, and we'll be none the wiser.
Right.
Fair?
I disagree. I just fundamentally disagree. I think that,
But you're not going to explain why.
no, it's such a one-sided, it's unfortunate, but it's so one-sided, just a chronic lack of development and persistent underclass status and lack of contributions to mankind. I mean, certainly in the arts and in athletics, but no inventions, no philosophers, no true great masterpieces, anything like that, in terms of fine art, really. And then you have the whole planet is like this, I mean, if half of Africa was super developed or halfway developed and the other half wasn't, maybe you'd have an argument, but it's whether they're socialist or capitalist, whether they got colonized or not, whether they got freed from slavery in 1800 or in 1860, or it's the same story everywhere. There's not one written language among them. You talk about he who controls the printing press. They don't have books. They don't have words to put in the books. And I think.
So I'm just thinking of something. Here, that the top fan thing. We have a couple people who are in position to give money. I wish that it was just based on the amount that you're talking, because I think that would be a little bit more fair. So once we get our first person with 5 top fans, 5 streams where they're the top fan, they'll get their free shit. But then we're gonna change it, and so I'll do a certain amount of points for first place, certain amount of points for second place, and certain amount of points for third place. That way, even if you don't have the kind of money, then you could still maybe get some shit. What do you think?
That, it's a sad fact of the world, but it's something we have to deal with. And to me, that's the only conclusion that satisfies. And don't get me wrong, I get where you're coming from. I'm not, I'll give you an example. My family lived in Chicago for 4 or 5 generations. And my parents and my grandmother, they had a security firm in the city. They taught cops and security guards how to
Yep. I just figured, of all the dumb shit that he's saying, that was dumb enough that we just let it fly. But welcome to the party.
mother. They had a security firm in the city. They taught cops and security guards how to shoot their guns and gave them licenses and things like that. And almost all their clientele were black. And when I was growing up, this
woke
was impressed upon me at an early age. They always said the older generations in Chicago, when my grandmother was growing up in the projects, when my parents were running this business in the 80s and 90s, they said they were the most polite, the most pious, the most considerate. Right. Some of them couldn't read, though. They would come in and not be able to read, but they were less dysfunctional than my family.
Exactly. So maybe it's more about culture than genetics.
My grandmother, her mother had mental illness, and she would look outside the window in the projects and see a black family across the way, and they were sitting around the table holding hands saying grace, and it was an intact family. So I completely agree with you. So obviously, there's a cultural destruction. Obviously, there's a cultural decline, but I think that was constant, even though the older generation was more genteel. I think that, honestly, that came from oppression. That came from a society where they were the minority.
We're now talking about oppression. Again, I ask you, what part of this conversation, what part of this conversation on Nick's part is not woke?
There was racism, there was abuse, there was segregation, and I think that made black people meek. And if you look, the out-of-wedlock birth rate started to blow up, not after Great Society in the late 60s, but in the 50s during the Civil Rights era. And I think that was sort of a regression to the mean moment. And again, I think that it's not that black people can't be good people. There aren't smart black people, or there aren't, incredible black people. I'm sitting across from one right now, or yay, and everything like that. But on the whole, on average, and there's billions of black people,
On the whole, well, that's what she said.
they do have that lower level of development, and I think that's why they underperform. And
Yeah, I think it's totally ignorant. We can disagree on
I
that.
can't get rid of these hiccups. Come
But I think it
on.
would be the same as saying, like, we look at women today who are all a bunch of hoes,
Mhm.
and like that's kind of just become the thing. Like, this is what women are, and then kind of looking at this moment in time and saying, like, this is just who they are. It's like women, as soon as they come of age, they just want to like be on screen shaking their butts because they're all low IQ and they need men to do this or whatever. It's like, no,
Shout out to Lil Tay.
the culture has been corroding for a very long time, and I don't accept the argument that it's because women are women and that's just who they all are deep down on the inside. I find that I do think that in time you might move away from that.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
we'll see.
open-minded. Yeah.
We'll see. Okay, so you are a racist. You accept that. You are anti-Semitic. I don't like actually using that word because even that is what I mean, like trickery,
Just say anti-Jew.
where it's like Semitic Palestinians are Semitic.
Right.
So it's nothing more anti-Semitic than blowing up Palestinians. Are you a Jew hater?
No, I don't hate
Do you
anybody.
hate Jews?
I don't hate Jews. I don't hate anybody.
You don't hate anybody. Okay. And your faith, you don't find that saying that you're a Catholic while also saying that you don't believe that whites and blacks should be married, or you don't believe in interracial marriage for whatever reason, that doesn't conflict with your Catholicism?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. But you said that like that's not a Catholic perspective.
It's not a sin. The Catholic Church doesn't say it's a sin to mix races, but there have been various Catholic authors that have said that it's not conducive to a long-term marriage to mix races because you have this clash, you have this dissonance between cultures.
Oh, I just held my breath that whole time. And I think they're gone, but now I'm lightheaded.
Between different upbringings. And so they say if the selfless goal of a marriage is to rear children and you want to make that as conducive as possible, then you should marry within your race. It's not a sin if you
Catholic
don't.
author?
I don't know off the top of my head, but there are Catholic theologians that have said that. It's not conducive to a long-term marriage and stable.
Okay, jumping in here, even though he did.
Again. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Since they are bringing up marriage, I have a poll question for you guys.
And say that he would produce a document. I thought it was important to fact check this one, obviously, because I don't want people to walk away with a perspective that it's a Catholic teaching or a Catholic idea or Catholic theology that people shouldn't be marrying outside of their race. So I gave him an opportunity and told him it was important to me if he could supply us with the name or the reading. And this is what he came back with that we were able to fact check as being an accurate quotation from Thomas Aquinas. The quotation reads, "It is less fitting to marry one who is far removed from us in customs and manners, lest the mutual fellowship be hindered." Doesn't say anything about race. I certainly don't disagree with that.
Let's look at that again. It is less fitting to marry one who is removed from us in customs and manners. So that basically just saying you want to marry somebody who has your values and your culture, okay? Unless the mutual or if you do, then the mutual fellowship will be hindered. Yeah, it's just saying if you marry somebody who has different ideas and values and principles than you, then it's going to hinder the fellowship. It's going to hinder what you're trying to do. Shout out to United. Welcome to the party. I think you did. They're not here. Good job. United said anti-Israel, not anti-Jew. It is not the same thing. Dilly to that, sir. Dilly. All right, let's see where she's going with this. Guys, don't forget, every $2 is another push-up that I've got to do, even though the goal was met. Now we got to bulk me up.
Fellowship be hindered. Doesn't say anything about race. I certainly don't disagree with that whatsoever. And so I am not clear on how that could be interpreted as being about race. But again, the only reason I wanted to fact.
Because I feel like, Nick Fuentes, and I read this thing that can tangentially be related to a thing that I think. So I'm going to use it as my source and just pretend that it says exactly what I want it to say.
Check that is because it's really important for people who are obviously having faith-based discussions to know that that is not a Catholic perspective. All right, let's get back into the conversation.
And by the way, the statistics
Mixing?
bear this out. There's more mental illness, more domestic abuse in mixed race households. It depends on which one. Some are worse than others in terms of the statistics. But obviously, I mean, look, at the end of the day, elephant in the room is you're a black woman in a mixed marriage. So obviously we have different
I'm interested.
How dare
beliefs
you?
on this.
If we don't, I listen. I'm never going to obviously adopt your beliefs on it.
Right.
I just think it's patently wrong.
But you understand why I would want to have grandchildren that are white.
I don't have an issue with you saying you want your kids to
But
look
do you
like
understand why I would believe that or feel that way?
No, because I'm not white. I don't understand.
What about your grandchildren being black, for that matter? Then.
Well, I'm mixed race, so that I just feel like each kid comes out looking different. It's kind of incredible. So I think that when you actually have children, you realize like it's incredible how like my daughter is a little bit darker, but she looks like my husband. And then like my son's whiter, but he looks just like me. And I think that's kind of one of the exciting parts of being in a mixed race relationship. I'm always like, oh, I wonder what this kid's going to come out looking like. If you're saying that generations down.
Well, I mean, regardless if you are for or against interracial marriage, definitely get that DNA test.
Like 3 generations down, it'd be possible that you could just have all black kids or something. Would that bother you? You'll probably be dead.
Phrasing.
When that happens, you'll probably be dead.
I'm alive now, and I
no. What I'm saying is that, like, by the time you could breed it out, so to speak, you'd be dead. So I'm just answering your question. Like, it doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, we got a bunch of pussies not willing to put their opinion out. Should gay marriage be banned? Options are absolutely, I don't really care, but sure. I don't really care, but no. Or absolutely not. Let me know what you think.
Obviously not.
I'm saying, but do you understand why I would feel that way?
If I understood it, I wouldn't be in a mixed race relationship. I don't understand it.
But you have
I
no
accept
empathy
it.
then for like.
Exactly. So the fact that what Nick is trying to do is be like, see, you definitely want what I want. This is solipsism. This is solipsism. Well, I want my kids to be white. So you, being black, must want your kids to be black. No. I don't care what they look like. I want them to be healthy. That is how normal people think about their children. Terminally online groypers and incels act like this.
The time you have a relationship, I'm always like, oh, I wonder what this kid's going to come out looking like. If you're saying that generations down, like 3 generations down, it'd be possible that you could just have all black kids or something. Would that bother you? You'll probably be dead. When that happens, you'll probably be dead.
I'm alive now, and I
no. What I'm saying is that, like, by the time you could breed it out, so to speak, you'd be dead. So I'm just answering your question. Like, it doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
No.
People don't care about that shit, you fucking weirdo. Weird.
Obviously not.
I'm saying, but do you understand why I would feel that way?
No. I understand that you do feel that way, but I don't understand why. I understand that you feel, oh, I want people to look like me. I want my kids to look like me. And when I say look like me, I say have the same skin tone. I understand that you feel that way. What I don't understand is why.
At all?
Yeah.
No. Obviously not.
I'm saying, but do you understand why I would feel that way?
If I understood it, I wouldn't be in a mixed race relationship. I don't understand
But
it.
you have
I
no
accept
empathy
it.
then for like.
No.
You can't stand.
No empathy for whatever the fuck it is that you're trying to say. You could give me a reason to give you empathy by explaining why you feel that way. But again, you have not done that.
Step outside of your situation.
No.
Oh, projection. It's always the people who are being solipsistic that will then talk about projection. She is saying, again, she didn't say that she doesn't understand that you feel like you want your kids to have the same skin tone. She understands that, even though that's not her situation. That's not her perspective. What she doesn't understand is, like what I don't understand is, why do you feel that way? What is it about the skin color of your children that matters so much to you? It shouldn't be a complicated question, but it needs an answer.
I don't understand
But
it,
you
but
have
I
no
accept
empathy
it.
then for like,
No,
you can't step outside of your
no,
situation.
no. I mean, no, I'm not. I don't need to have. How would I have empathy for it? I mean, I don't feel that way.
Okay.
So it's just something that we disagree on.
Well,
which is fine.
I'm saying that because I actually can understand the
But I'm the victim. You know, you can't see things the way that I see them.
appeal of a mixed race relationship. I get it. I mean,
Yeah, right. So the fact that you understand her and she doesn't understand you doesn't mean that you're better. It means that she likely has a more understandable position.
Stupid.
And you could explain your position, but you haven't done that. And you don't seem to be trying to. You'd be like, you don't already get what's in my head?
Just I don't feel that way.
Okay.
So it's just something that we disagree on.
well,
which is fine.
I'm saying that because I actually can understand the appeal of a mixed race relationship. I get it. I mean, I find other
That's like, this is like saying, I want to marry the ugliest, meanest person I can find. I understand why you would want to marry somebody that you're attracted to and that you like, but you can't understand? You don't have empathy that I want to marry somebody I hate?
What?
No. No, I don't. Yeah, right. No. Oh, Jesus, what the fuck just happened? Oh, God damn it. Hold on. There we go. Okay. We're back. We're good. We're good. Okay. What am I missing down here? Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, fuck. Sorry. Hold on. Hold on. Struggle streaming. Struggle streaming. Actually, I could play this. Play.
race is attractive. Okay.
So it's just something that we disagree on.
Well,
which is fine.
I'm saying that because I actually can understand the appeal of a mixed race relationship. I get it. I mean, I find other races attractive also. And, you know, if I was in love
Looks like he's wearing his daddy's jacket.
with a person from another race, I would probably want to build a life with them also. But my values are not just who I'm in love with and things like that. It's also my heritage, my identity, my race. And, you know, I like the idea. It is important to me.
That's it. We're really only going to get 3 votes on this. And even still, I was talking to Michael Blackman in Discord about this. And I was saying that regardless of how you feel about gay marriage, that you should not want to push for that because that will give the Democrats an issue to run on. And a lot of the MAGA coalition are not Christian conservatives who care about that. And he was like, source. So I gave him a 2023 Gallup poll. I gave him a 2024 Gallup poll. I gave him Pew Research. I gave him something else. And didn't understand. Then I did my own poll on my own page. And let's see what that's looking like. Let's see what that is looking like. Is it this one? I think it was this one. Yeah. So pick the option that most closely aligns with your position. I would openly campaign to ban gay marriage. Only 19%. And then it goes down, you know, the levels of security. So I don't like gay marriage, but I don't really care. That's most people. And I'm neutral or positive about gay marriage, but I don't really care. So that is, what, a third and a quarter. What's a third plus a quarter? A third plus a quarter of the people don't fucking care. And then you have a quarter, almost a quarter of people, just over a fifth of the people. This is 73 votes. 50 or, one fifth are saying, no, I will openly make sure that that is something that we can have. So it seems like most people don't want to ban gay marriage.
Race. And, you know, I like the idea. It is important to me. My parents look a certain way. Their parents look a certain way. We come from a certain place. I like the unbroken chain. And
That's what I was saying. If you are in an interracial relationship, make sure you get that DNA test. It does matter as far as that goes. Sure, absolutely. Got to vote to ban all marriage. Only the ultra wealthy should be allowed to reproduce. Society will be made of only the rarest humans to ever exist. Nah, I'm good.
I want my grandchildren and great-grandchildren to have a similar complexion. I want them to have similar.
Why? I get it. I get that's what you want. Why do you want that? I'm not saying there's no reason. I'm just asking you why. Why do you want that?
I want my grandchildren and great-grandchildren to have a similar complexion. I want them to have similar hair. I want, because these kinds of things, they echo. We're all connected, not just in time horizontally, but vertically across the generations. And so the
Which wouldn't be the case if they had a different complexion than you.
Stupid.
idea that, 2 or 3 generations down the line, one of my children bears no resemblance to me at all. It's almost as if we're not related. It's almost as
But they would resemble you, even if they had a different skin color, because of all of the other genetics, just like Candace was talking about.
if I never existed. And there's something very disturbing to me about that. And I can understand why people are okay with that. Because people have various feelings about race. They say, I don't
Well, people just don't understand why I want to be a racist bigot and a fucking loser.
care about my race or whatever, but I do.
Okay.
Okay, why? Why do you care so much about your race? That's all I want to know. That's all I want to know. Waco said it's easier to abuse a version of yourself rather than someone that looks like the mailman. That's what these racist pricks want, only whites. What? It's easier to abuse a version of yourself rather than someone that looks like the mailman. I have no idea what that means. Are we? I'm so confused. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's totally fine. And like I said, it's not a Catholic doctrinal perspective.
Yeah.
It's your perspective. You're entitled to it. You can marry whoever you want. That's the point of free country. But would you make the argument that it should be legislative?
No, I don't think it should be legislated at all.
Okay.
No,
It's just your perspective. Yeah.
it's my value.
Listen,
I
by the
value-
way, you're allowed to have a type. That's one of the things I think I don't personally care if people tell me I'm
Yeah, for him, it's men.
attracted to Black women, I'm attracted to Spanish women, whatever it is. Do your thing. You know what I mean? That's the reason why you're allowed to be you and I'm allowed to be me.
Mhm.
A question that I would ask you then is what is your dating life?
I don't have a dating life.
So you don't date.
No.
So you have a perspective about
So Larry said, buying children is a slippery slope. I'm not willing to take a risk on. I can't support surrogacy. Okay, so what is the worst case scenario? Or not even the worst case scenario. What is the negative that you think that slope leads to? Doesn't have to be the worst thing, but what is the negative that's at the bottom of that slope?
who you want to marry.
Mhm.
Do you intend to get married?
I do intend to get
Oh yeah, he definitely does.
Do you have a perspective about who you want to marry?
Mhm.
Do you intend to get married?
I do intend to get married and have kids.
So where are you at on that?
Never gonna happen.
Trying to
Actually, that's not true. I'm sure he could clean up if he wanted to.
get prepared for that mentally.
What does that mean? You're 26 years old.
I like my life. I like being single. I like being a guy. I like what I like. I like reading books. I like doing my show. I'm a pretty antisocial person. And it's a big adjustment for a man to go from having a life where you can do whatever you want, go wherever you want, unaccountable, everything like that.
Okay, Chelsea Handler. I just get to wake up and masturbate and smoke weed every day at 50 years old. Isn't that amazing? No. No, it's not. Yeah, John said, where are we? John said he just needs to find a nice lady that's okay with him being gay. Not hard to find these days. Not hard to find these days. Well, I mean, the nice lady part is difficult, but being okay with him being gay, not a deal breaker for a lot of people.
And you have to be roommates with women and children. It's a totally different lifestyle. And for someone like myself, I'm a pretty eccentric and, kind of out.
She should just straight up ask him, what about sex? Do you want to have sex?
For someone like myself, I'm a pretty eccentric and, kind of out there person. I don't have a regular sleep schedule. I'm awake all night. I'm asleep all day. And my sleep schedule's moving around all the time.
I don't know if we could call I don't know if we can call those values. He's certainly consistent in some of the things that he says, but that's not necessarily a good thing. And so you could say, the guy who is all about just like this guy is saying black people are just so bad, and that's his shtick. You could say that he has values that he's sticking to. But what value is that? So yeah, what value are you respecting from him? Again, I'm not saying that that you're wrong. I'm just asking. Wigamine said he said he likes being unaccountable, but being a man is accountable. That guy seems subhuman. Dilly. Liberty, did you block United? I don't know. Liberty hasn't been saying too much in the last few minutes. Maybe he stepped away.
I'm awake all night. I'm asleep all day. And my sleep schedule's moving around all the time. I like to go out on drives all the time. The idea of my wife sending me out the door. Okay, be home by 10. Call me and tell me where you're going. Or, I go on a trip. I got to get the car seats and buy all the plane tickets and stuff like that. It's kind of cramping my style. So I'm trying to get over that, I guess. But that's maturing.
Yeah, I think you should probably mature on that point. I mean, what?
Yeah, I know. You got to tell me. I know.
I want to go for drives. That would be.
You know that even though if somebody blocks you, the chat is right on the screen, so you would still see what they're saying.
Something. I mean, if you are, do you attend the mass?
I do.
Do you go every Sunday?
I do. Yes.
Okay, so you're like a committed Catholic. Then obviously, the perspectives on family. I mean, I personally, and this would be me lecturing, but I just feel like you really have no idea who you are until you start a family. And whether that means just marriage, some people who are struggling to have children, okay, fine. But there's such.
I was just dinging the fact that Nick has no idea who the fuck he is. I mean, he's a Groyper, but a Groyper's a frog. And he doesn't want his family to have a different complexion, but no reasons behind that. So again, I mean, I don't know if I could call that, guys.
A growth that happens because of that I think it informs your beliefs in so many ways. And I think that was a huge.
Yeah, guys, don't forget that the default is on top chat. So you go to the top of the chat window, hit top chat, and go to live chat. We're slow enough that it should be showing you everything, but
turning point for me. I wonder if I had been pressed with everything that happened last year, if I didn't have the unshaken faith in my family, what would I have done? And sometimes when I see the things that you say, I do think, okay, he doesn't take into account family. It's just Nick. Nick is in his own world, which can be, I think, a quite selfish perspective, which is.
Yeah, definitely a selfish perspective. And I understand the notion that's hey, it is easy to live like this. It is easy to live where I'm not accountable to anybody, where, the most thing I have to worry about is Morty. But it's not that I prefer this. I'm just okay with the fact that I'm not going to, put myself out there in a desperate attempt to be with a woman for the sake of being with a woman.
Out family. It's just Nick.
That's 3 hours, guys. 3 hours. I round up when you guys super chat, so I round down on the push-ups. That's $60. That's 30 push-ups. We could still add to it, guys. We could still add to it, and of course, that would keep the party raging.
Things that you say, I do think, okay, he doesn't take into account family. It's just Nick. Nick is in his own world, which can be, I think, a quite selfish perspective, which is fine. That's what you're saying. You like being selfish is another way to say what you just said. I like being selfish and I don't want to give of myself to somebody else. But
I also think there's something selfless involved, which is to say, I could go and start a family and drag them into a world of mine, which is pretty chaotic.
That's such a Zoomer perspective. That's such a Zoomer thing to say.
I mean, is this really And
I'll say, not only is it a Zoomer thing to say, but it is a very young, immature thing to think that I obviously don't have a wife and kids, and I understand that there's a lot of negative things in the world, but to think that those things would be enough to prevent me from wanting to procreate is silly and immature. And so I think a lot of Zoomers will grow out of this, but I think for the foreseeable future, people under 25 are going to think exactly like this.
Kind of a lifestyle. If I'm banned on everything and I can't make a living, I'm banned from banking, I'm banned from credit card processing, I'm getting doxxed, people are showing up to my house trying to kill me, things like that. And what's more, I mean, let's also get, I also don't appreciate the lecture. You don't know me, so I know you're married. I know you're older than me, but you don't know me. You don't know my life. You don't.
Okay, but again, the immaturity to not see that I don't have to know everything about you to be able to read your personality. They've sat for the last 2 hours talking, and it's not that you don't have all their content out there. So maybe, yes, obviously she doesn't know you, but that doesn't mean that we can't read people's personalities. This is cope. You don't know me. All right. And so what would I learn about you that would change what I'm saying right now? Oh, nothing. You're just mad.
I know you're married. I know you're older than me, but you don't know me. You don't know my life. You don't know my situation. I don't think you're in a position to give me advice, especially as a woman, honestly. I don't think.
Now we're going to bring that one up. Notice how this whole time, why not? I need to be on your show. You're so this and that. But now, well, you're just a whammon.
You don't know my situation. I don't think you're in a position to give me advice, especially as a woman, honestly. I don't think women, this is something in the right wing. We say we're anti-feminist, and then women go around telling men what to do. We're not their husbands. And, I don't really buy into that.
Like, yo, I'll get my husband in here. He'll fucking co-sign everything I just said.
Ideologically, but that's besides the point. My life has been tumultuous from the very beginning. From the time I turned 18, people were coming for my neck and trying to get me, and I was kicked out of college. And then, once you're branded as an anti-Semite, before it became cool or popular, can't get a job, can't make a living, get banned from PayPal, all this kind of stuff. That's a very difficult environment to try to have a dating life. What do? I go out on Tinder, I go to a bar, and I say, hey, I'm a neo-Nazi Nick Fuentes that the ADL is writing articles about every day. I'm going to start a dating profile on Tinder. People are going to screenshot that, mess with me in all kinds of ways. It's a very difficult predicament, actually, for me, because I took on basically a huge sacrifice at the beginning. And I don't know that you really appreciate.
I could see that. I could definitely see that. But here's the other thing, at the level that Nick is at, that's what I was just saying. I was like, he could probably, pull it in. I've always been, I don't think about Nick Fuentes that much. So I was willing to accept the fact that he's a virgin because of his religion. But when he's now saying that it's actually difficult for him to get that female attention, then I think that really, really emboldens what Candace said. It's like, women are not watching your show. Women are not watching at that level. I don't know exactly how many viewers he has, but at that level, there's not one decent woman who's hit you up and tried to sound. Yikes, bro. So maybe that's an indictment of you as a person, your entire personality, or at the very least, your entire online persona.
People are going to screenshot that, mess with me in all kinds of ways. It's a very difficult predicament, actually, for me, because I took on basically a huge sacrifice at the beginning. And I don't know that you really appreciate that enough.
Oh, yeah. Candace Owens has no idea what it's like to sacrifice personal stuff for her career.
I think that you're somebody who, you had a career in politics for as long as I was fighting a battle. You were at Daily Wire with a contract. You're at Turning Point. You're making good money. You're doing book deals. You're part of this thing that I'm criticizing and paying a very heavy price for at a time when no one's saying those things, when it's very unpopular. And it's not to say that I'm a victim, because
I have not. But even though they like the show, they're not DMing him or emailing him like, hey, I want to suck your dick.
I did it willingly, and I love it, and I would do it again. But it is to say that, you and I have lived very different lives. And, it's easy, I think, for you to say you had your husband, have your kids, you got your ducks in a row.
Oh, man, you are going into inceldom. Well, you have a great life, and you just have a life, and my life's not great, so you can't tell me anything. Maybe maybe she has a husband. Maybe she has kids. Maybe she's got her ducks in a row because her ideas are better than your ideas.
Stupid.
Made quite a bit of money. Then you discovered the truth. And then you went out on a limb. And it's not to say you didn't make sacrifices and it wasn't a risk. And it paid off. You're doing great now. And I congratulate you. But with me, there was no calculation. I mean, I almost want to say I was 17. What's your excuse? I was 17 and I woke up and I went balls to the wall.
Excuse for what? What's her excuse for what? She's 4 kids and a successful independent platform. Her excuse for what?
I was 17. What's your excuse? I was 17.
I love how this is relevant. I love how we're talking about somebody who's openly racist and the fact that he's 4 inches taller than me. That's what's problematic. That's what's problematic.
And I woke up and I went balls to the wall, bucket of ice cold water, as you say.
I mean, I would expect, a not super smart, but very pious Christian girl could watch his content and think that, he's the greatest thing ever. I don't think it would need to be someone who is on the level of seeing through him like Candace does, and then just, kind of getting over it. I think that there's just people who think like this. He's clearly, he's not alone in this thinking.
Woke up and I went balls to the wall, bucket of ice cold water, as you say. I made a lot of enemies and maybe that wasn't wise. But I told the truth and I took on extremely heavy cost for my personal life. It basically has made it so that I can't have a personal life. I don't even have many friends. Forget about, dating women. I can't even really have a lot of male friends because there's such an incentive to betray me, to turn your back on me.
Okay, so let's investigate that, Nick. Maybe that should tell you something about how you behave.
Because there are people that are being paid to attack me all the time on Twitter for information about me, things like that. So, it's something like everything else that I'm figuring out one step at a time, just like my show. And, when I get banned from something, whether or not I'll be able to have a family and kids and what that'll look like. But
how the fuck has Candace not laughed at him?
I mean, it's a little more complicated, I think, than maybe you understand.
Oh, honey. Projection. I would say, Nick, that it's a bit more complicated than you understand, and the things that you say actually have an effect, and it's not tone policing or concern trolling, whatever the fuck you're talking about. When somebody is sitting across from you saying, "This is why people don't like you. This is why people don't like you." Well, you just don't understand. We tried, bro. We tried.
I feel like you just got super triggered by me just saying something so casual. What was that about?
See, I don't appreciate
you're a woman.
that.
You're like, you're a woman. I mean, I was just having a conversation with you, just being like, hey, like you there's a lot of growth that comes from when you start a family. Like it's a pretty cool thing to do. And I feel like you got pretty triggered there and got like a little upset. I don't know what I did there.
I don't like that you say triggered.
Well, you are a little bit triggered.
I'm being candid. I'm being candid with you. And
but saying,
I don't like when people will act like they're not triggered. You guys have seen me. If I fucking go off, like, I don't think being triggered is inherently a bad thing. If I see somebody trying to trans a kid, yeah, that's going to trigger the fuck out of me. I'm going to have some shit to say. And I'm not going to hide that, no, this actually isn't a big deal. I'm just yelling at something that I don't really care about. You just went on a whole diatribe about how she doesn't know what's good and she's a woman. And that's being triggered, baby. It is what it is. He's woke and he's triggered and he doesn't have any friends. If this is not the definitive proof that the definition of woke right that I use is the right one, then you are probably as pathetic as Nick. Dylan said, Nick's blatant disrespectful digs at Candace are giving me flashbacks of when she repeatedly disrespected Blair White on the Rubin Report. I remember when were you here when we covered that? Because I covered that, and it was like 6 years old. And I was like, let's just fucking get into the slop. Facts. That was fun. That was fun. That was when she still had the little, like the ponytail with the little black girl hair thing.
I don't like that you say triggered.
Well, you were a little bit.
I'm being candid. I'm being candid with you, and
but saying
Not mutually exclusive. You can be triggered and be candid at the same time, and also be woke.
a woman just it's like, okay,
you're talking about my personal life. You're talking about my personal.
yeah, we're
life.
having a conversation. I talk to tons of people about their personal lives. Like,
Well,
why do you feel like this is
that you're special, that you should get to talk about only the things that you want to talk about, and everything should go the way that you want it to go, because you're a little fucking child. You're a little fucking child who is arrested development from being the political media trauma when you were 18. You are a perpetual child.
that wasn't a line of attack, Nick?
I know it wasn't a line.
So
of attack.
why you
Then why did you get triggered?
kind of responded like you were just attacked?
Because you're giving me this lecture, giving me this advice about things, and telling me, you don't know who you are, and all this kind of stuff.
Well, okay. I thought he was going to say something that she said. And I was like, wait, you said that. Hey, shout out to Roland K. Welcome. Candace Owens is just Nick Fuentes, except black and probably with more testosterone. I definitely think she has more testosterone, and she is black. But I slightly disagree, but I definitely see where you're coming from. Welcome to the party.
This lecture, giving me this advice about things, and telling me, you don't know who you are, and all this kind of stuff.
I said that when people start families,
Mhm.
it does commute your perspectives a lot. And sometimes when I see these clips of you floating around or certain things that you do or say,
You said
it
I'm
does.
selfish.
It does. Yeah, but you admitted you were selfish.
and I just don't really
You said I
appreciate.
Again, the notion, like, I understand that I am a selfish person by wanting to maintain not having to care about other people. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. And maybe selfish has enough of a negative connotation that he wouldn't take that well. But it is what it is, baby.
don't want to. What are you talking about? You just said that the reason that you didn't want to have a family, when I asked the question or didn't start a family, you said was because I like to drive alone in my car. I don't really want to have to come home and have to deal with roommates, as you referred to, children, a wife. You want to stay selfish. You want to, you want to be in your own world. That's a fair assessment.
I said that in terms of my development, I'm trying to get over some of those aspects.
That is selfish, right? I mean, is that fair assessment?
I think that's judgmental. I think that's a judgmental way to
selfish.
look
You
at
want to spend time with yourself. You don't want to invite people into your space. I think I used that word exactly as it should be used.
Well, and
I agree, but on that specific point, I understand why somebody might not take that in the best way.
explaining why there's multiple aspects to it too. It's not just as simple
fine.
as that.
As we are coming up on the end, I don't even think we're going to make it to the 3.5 hour mark, but don't forget that every $2 adds another push-up. We're at 30 right now. Help bulk me up.
But acting like I tried to offend you when I just
I'm not
gave
saying
you
you
a
tried
word
to
to use. I definitely
Look.
did not try to offend you when I was asking you about family. You ask people about themselves.
Okay.
That's for the same reason that I asked you about what you were up to in high school and what your priorities were, what you were doing in college. It's
And that's kind of the stuff that we skipped. But, well, you're asking me these personal questions, but you only got mad when you realized she hit on something that you are not happy within yourself. You are not happy within yourself.
because it's a natural point. You're 26 years old.
Mhm.
People are going to ask you, okay, you have all these perspectives. You're
I mean, hey, everybody's got a price. Everybody's got a price.
saying people a very natural transition. You're talking about the fact that you don't believe people should interracially marry,
Mhm.
correct?
Yeah.
I think it's pretty fair to then move on to discussion and ask you about marriage. There wasn't some like trap there.
Yeah, no, and I don't think that's my issue with it. But I don't think I got triggered. I think I gave you a real response. So
Well, you were like, listen, woman, don't ask me what I'm doing.
I didn't say listen. Look, I happen to believe that I don't like women telling me what to do in general.
Then why are you here? And why didn't you bring that up until she pushed your button? She hit on a sore
I
spot.
didn't tell you what to do. I said that when you get married, you said you wanted to get married.
You said you're giving me a lecture. You said
Yeah,
you
I said,
go
well,
to
this
church.
may sound
and-
like a lecture
Okay.
because I'm sounding like an old timer here,
Mhm.
but I didn't tell you what to do. Like
Okay.
if you're giving a lecture on any topic, hey, this is what's great about marriage. I didn't say, Nick, you need to get married right
I
now.
just feel like it's pointed. I feel like a lot of these questions are pointed, but maybe that's just me.
I feel like you're hurting my feelings. Why are you hurting my feelings? He's such a woke little bitch.
And I'm imagining it.
Genuinely, you're imagining it.
Yeah,
I don't think
okay.
anybody watching that is going to be like, that was a setup.
Put a 1 in the chat if you think that was a setup by Candace Owens.
After he talked about interracial marriage, for her to ask him his perspectives on his own life and
Yeah.
what if he's dating people. To be honest, if you want me to psychoanalyze that, I feel
Well, I don't, but feel
okay.
free.
Yeah, I feel free. Thanks. I feel like
She's like, this is only going to get worse. This is only going to get worse for you, Nick. You should have just taken the L on the chin. I mean, like, interesting. I understand that you think I should grow up. Moving on. Israel.
I do think you got a little bit triggered there. And I think that towards the end of that triggering, you kind of got to the main gist that because of your life, it's difficult for you to actually establish real world connections with people.
This is the leader of an entire movement. Maybe an entire movement of fat.
Because there is the Nick Fuentes caricature, and there's probably a little bit of pressure for you to maintain the Nick Fuentes caricature. I don't know that you feel that you can have, go out in the real world and have friends and go out in the real world. And like you just said, I can't really get on Tinder and be like, I'm Nick Fuentes, have somebody screenshot it, and then it becomes a thing and people are making fun of you. Like, I think that's a real understandable answer, but I don't think you had to knife me to get to it.
Well, so didn't Nick say he wanted to marry a teenager when he's 30? I have not heard that, but I would not be surprised. I'm like, well, in the Bible, Mary Magdalene was only 12 and Jesus Christ was like, some bullshit. I don't know. I see it. I see it. It says friendship is gay. Nick Fuentes. Probably. Well, fits the bill. Fits the bill.
Making fun of you. Like, I think that's a real understandable answer, but I don't think you had to knife me to get to it.
I didn't knife you.
That's what it is. She's smarter. She hit a button and he didn't like it, so he raged.
Well, what did I knife you?
You were just like, we'll have to play it back. What did he say? Like, he was like, whoa,
You know what? I don't appreciate this. Honestly, especially as a woman, you shouldn't be telling me what to do.
You're a woman telling me just like, dude, chill.
So put a 1 in the chat if you think that Candace was right, that everybody watching this does not see what Candace said as an attack.
Freaking conversation. Relax. Like, was not like demanding you go get married tomorrow. I'm just saying, I think if you get married, a lot of your perspectives are going to be a little bit different, especially having a kid.
I'm sure that's true.
A kid just completely.
Well, he's got the mind of a teenager.
He changes the game again. It's like a whole nother level. And, family's good.
I don't think I got triggered, but
a little bit.
The fact that you're still talking about it means that you were triggered and are triggered.
Maybe.
Okay, so any questions that you want to ask me since you talk so much trash and you're finally face to face with Candace?
This is kind of in the same vein as people talking about Lil Tay going on OF. If he said this, he's 26 now. So if he said this, let's put it at 22, 23. If he said this when he was 22 or 23, then at that point in time, especially when we're taking into account the Arrested Development, a teenager is only a few years younger than him. So maybe he's just saying, that, I want a young, fertile woman. And in his mind, at 23, that means someone 5 years younger than him. Like, I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt here. But it's still fucking creepy. I'm just saying, I can't believe how much of a slimy bitch Nick is in this interview. Yep. Don't forget about Mohammed. I am 9-year-old and jumping over the moon.
Is that you want to ask me since you talk so much trash and you're finally face to face with Candace?
Honestly,
I'm an open book, so you can ask me anything.
Let's give me that link. Put that link in the Discord.
Oh, it is really cool meeting you because I've seen you around forever and I am a fan, believe it or not.
Is that you being a fan, these clips? Is that you being a fan?
I am,
Yep.
but look.
The hate watchers are your biggest fans.
I
don't think that she is attacking. I think that she said something that I think she's being honest about what she thinks. And a lot of people, to use myself as an example, a lot of people will say things like, I think that you're doing this wrong. I think that it would be better if you did X, Y, and Z. And I happen to disagree with what they're saying. I don't get triggered and yelled, no, you don't even know me. You don't just think that because you're mean. You're like, oh, okay, good. Good. Depending on who it is, and depending on the relationship, depending on the context, good advice. Thank you. And then just not take it because I don't agree with it. Or, like if it's one of you guys and we're talking in the after party, then I'll be like, okay, well, I mean, I hear you out. I appreciate that you're trying to help, but here's why that doesn't help. You don't act like a little child like this. Why isn't Nick Muslim? Because he was born in America. So that is the determining factor over anything else. Liberty said, I dated an 18-year-old when I was 22. It was horrible. Don't do it. Yeah, I've always dated like the same age. Party 20. I mean, hey, Nick rhymes with Catholic. There you go. There you go. All right. Let's finish this up, guys, before we head to the Swoggle and the after party. Actually, let's do that. In case you guys are new here, in case you don't really know what's good, why don't you figure it the fuck out? If you guys are enjoying the show, the party rages on 24/7 over in our Discord. The link is pinned to the top of the chat and is absolutely free to join 24/7. We're in there hanging out, having a great time. And guys, it is absolutely free. However, if you are a member of this channel here on YouTube, you can scroll right below that video and hit that join button. Starts at $2.99. There's a few different tiers, but $2.99 will get you in. It gets you members only live streams here on YouTube, all that other good stuff. But it opens up the full Discord server. So we've got the free chat that is open to anyone. Anybody can join and talk. But as you can see, that is just one of our channels. There's a bunch of different channels here, including our Disciple chat for members only, our Word of the Day watch party, where we're talking about all this stuff. And of course, we have the voice channel here.
A lot of strong
where we are hanging out at this moment. Shout out to everybody in the Discord server. Say hello and tell them to come and join. There you go, guys. Simple as that. See you there. And of course, remember that after party you just saw is for members only. But if you click that pinned link before the end of the stream, then you get a day pass and you can come hang out with us and talk about the stuff that we can talk about on YouTube.
Because I'm very opinionated, But I look. I think I give you your due as well. And if you watch all the clips, I do say a lot of nice things about you. So, no, but I really am. I think that you're tough. I think that you're real. I think that you're a little coy. You could be a little coy and you could be a little
coy. Coy is not the word I would use for Candace Owens. I think she is very blunt, which is the opposite of coy.
Passive aggressive, but I kind of like that. I kind of like this when you were debating that Rabbi Barclay. You kind of had this energy.
Passive aggressive, maybe, but
I'm going to talk to your manager. You kind of had this.
I can be at Karen's.
You kind of had this excuse me. I think I said the dressing on the side kind of energy. So.
What should I do for you guys for me to drink this? I've been drinking, my drink, but if you want to see me get sloppy.
Fair.
So I live for that. That's why I'm a Standis.
That was the
Standis, bro. That's so gay. That's so gay. I'm a stand for Candace. I'm a Standis.
Loser.
show that apparently you talked about me, where I think people started thinking that there was some coordination happening.
Mm-hmm.
And the clip was very funny, by the
Thank
way.
you. Yeah. So, I mean, look, I'm a little bit of a mixed bag. I hope you don't think I'm just heaping trash upon you.
Oh, I thought he was going to say, I hope you don't think I'm heaping trash. I do.
I mean,
Heaping dumpsters on you.
If you were, you're allowed to. It's a free country. I think people should stop being so fearful to have a disagreement. Like
that means, yeah, I do think you're trash.
I said, I'm not afraid to sit down with somebody who says I'm a racist or I'm an anti-Semite or I'm this and that, that I truly do believe that the best idea wins. So I think people are going to listen to this and you're going to say, this is why I don't think people should interracially marry. And some people are going to agree with that and they have a right to marry who they want to. And I'm going to say, I'm having the opposite experience, and let people make up their minds. You're not pushing for legislation. You'd be an enemy of me if you were pushing for, miscegenation laws to be put back into place. But I don't really understand why they've kind of turned you into Lord Voldemort.
Yeah, I know. I mean, what do you think?
Because he's stupid and he's getting enough traction. We always say the midwits, because he's very good at broadcasting. He just happens to be broadcasting bad messages and not giving any reason behind it. I came into this willing. I said I am willing to be an anti-Semite. I am willing to be an anti-Semite. I just need you, Nick, to give me a reason why I should have an opinion at all about the Jews. And yet again, you have failed to do that. Candace definitely hates him. Roland K said, I was threatened by a 26-year-old dude who said that he wanted to hurt me because I was becoming friends with a 19-year-old he pressured into doing BDSM stuff. Huge age gaps are a red flag for me. So wait, 26-year-old dude wanted to hurt you? Oh, because you're becoming friends with his girl, Miss Toasty, your girl.
I don't really understand why they've kind of turned you into Lord Voldemort.
Yeah, I know. I mean, what do you think? Let me ask you a selfish question.
You just said she doesn't know. What do you mean? What do you think?
What do you think about me? Meeting me, what's your impression? Do you think I'm an evil person or?
I don't think you're evil. I think
No, I don't think he's evil. I think he's just a useful idiot.
Me. Meeting me, what's your impression? Do you think I'm an evil person or?
But it also is kind of insecure to be like, do you like me? Do you like me?
I don't think you're evil. I think you're asking me. So,
I am asking.
okay.
It's all fair game.
Oh, Box, are you still here? My apologies, sir. I forgot to add you to the banner, and nobody let me know. I apologize, man. I apologize. I'm going to add you right now, even though we're almost done. You deserve it.
Evil person or?
I don't think you're evil. I think you're asking me. So,
I am asking.
okay.
It's all fair game.
If I was to just kind of analyze my own correspondence with you, I think that when you sense that somebody is potentially going to hurt you because you got so burned when you were 18 years old, you go on the attack and unnecessarily. I just think that is kind of your default position where it's like, well, I just got to say F you to this person and whatever. And that's why.
And what did I point out? What did I point out when Candace was saying, it seems like you're distrustful of the media or of history or whatever it is. He's like, no, well, yeah, actually I am distrustful. It's a childish thing that he's just rearing to fight anybody. And it is very reminiscent of the militant atheist. Nick is the militant atheist of conservatism. He thinks he has all these ideas and everything that he thought was a fucking lie, and he's angry. And so he thinks that now he has all the answers, when really all of us have figured out that the whole fucking system is bullshit. And yes, we have issues with it, but we've learned to grow up and deal with it and work to change those things and not just fucking yell about it on a TV show or a podcast. Oh, we got a hungry dance. We got a hungry dance. He knows what he's playing you guys. Give that dog 99 cents. Somebody could give that dog 99 cents. Come on. And 99 cents, because we're at $61, that is a push-up. That is an extra push-up. Roland K said he's not evil. He's just a man-child with attention issues. Agreed. Agreed. I mean, again, his presentation is not bad. It's the content of what he's presenting that's bad. The way he rubbed his chin.
I go back to your default position where it's like, well, I just got to say F you to this person and whatever. And that's why I go back to, if you wanted to come on the show, you could have just asked. Like, I don't respond to empty Groyper accounts. We had established communication over something legal. You should have been like, hey, Candace, I've been watching your stuff. Like, it'd be cool if we could do a collab. And I would have been like, yeah, definitely. Let's do it. Or I would have said, oh, not right now. I need to wait until hit me back up or whatever.
But you a baby bitch, so you acted like a baby bitch. And she was like, I don't want to deal with no baby bitch.
I think because you got kind of pigeonholed, which is necessarily happened because you got banned everywhere. Like,
99 cents, guys. Let's get him a treat.
Obviously, you're just going to be like in the pocket of Cozy TV and getting that feedback from other Groypers. I don't know how Cozy TV works. That sometimes
Nobody does, because nobody watches it, especially women. She said, all right, I'm going to get drunk because I still have 30 minutes of my birthday. Oh, we got 2 birthdays. Well, I mean, not exactly the same. But shout out to Roland K. And, of course, shout out to Box, who is turning 41. Congratulations. Oh, my goodness. Come on, man. I just wanted to give him a treat. I didn't want another 5 push-ups. I don't want another 5 push-ups. Funkmaster with the $10. There you go. Got Morty his treat. All right, let's finish this up. And nobody super chat anymore. I don't want to do any more push-ups. Please, please.
And getting that feedback from other Groypers. I don't know how Cozy TV works, that sometimes you can internet a little too hard.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's guilty of that. Like, you can be so entrenched in the comments that you kind of think that this is the perspective and this is why somebody's doing it. And I think that you assign evil sometimes where there really is just disagreement, and that you also feel like the world owes you something for being canceled first. I didn't do it to you. I had no idea it was done to you. While I was at the Daily Wire, I had no idea it was done to you. Truly, and I'm saying this, it was that conversation you had with Jeremy Boring that made me aware of your story, and I thought it was crappy. So I was being...
There we go. Shout out to the new sponsor of the stream. Thank you so very, very, very much, sir.
Sincere when I said to Aiden Ross that he needs to decide what he wants to do now, because people didn't know. No one was trying to, like, they're just like, I don't know who Nick Fuentes is. Everybody says he's a white supremacist. Like, I'm not going to just suddenly pick up the phone and try to learn everything about this guy. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't impact my life. And I don't think the world owes you anything. It happened to you for a reason, and just you got to try to make the best of it, you know?
Yeah. No, and
Well, goddamn. Goddamn. Dilly dilly to that. I was going to say dilly dilly, but I just finished this, right? This is empty. Fuck it. My little shooters. My little shooters. I like these shooters. I don't know what it is, but I kept some of these, and I have a handle. I just pour it in, and whenever I feel like it, I just a little nip. Dilly. Fucking dilly. All right, let's finish this up. Time for push-ups and time for the after party.
Was you anything? It happened to you for a reason, and just you got to try to make the best of it, you know?
Yeah. No, and I agree. And I think that's a fair criticism in the sense that, at that time, a year ago, when you said, you weren't going to have me on for this or that reason, I'm being honest with you, I didn't believe you. And I'm, not to relitigate the whole thing, but that's why it made me so mad. I felt like you weren't being forthcoming. I felt like you were avoiding me and making excuses. And you're right. In my whole career, I've been doing this 8.5 years now or something like that. That has been the repeated default, is just getting stabbed in the back, getting thrown under the bus, people sneak dissing me, doing the bare minimum. Like Dave Smith, he did a show with me, and then
we just had to throw in a little Dave Smith jab. Hopefully King is no longer watching, because we know that King does not like the Dave Smith hate.
People sneak dissing me, doing the bare minimum. Like Dave Smith, he did a show with me and then wouldn't call me Hitler. And then he's like, this guy.
What?
He wouldn't call you Hitler? How dare him?
What? What?
Dave Smith, he did a show with me and then wouldn't call me Hitler. And then he's like, this guy, he felt like I owed him something. All I did was disagree with him. And he said, but I stuck up for this kid. It's like
projection. Oh, wait, we're done with that. Fuck, I don't have anything more to project. We got that. That's the projection. There we go. There we go. No, Nick, he won't call you at all. He don't give a fuck.
Well, you did a show with me and you didn't call me Hitler. I feel like you are entitled to honest and dignified treatment. So that's sort of where I'm coming from. But, it's two people from different worlds, and our worlds are colliding. You from Daily Wire, me from the underground, from Cozy. We do have, I think, these misunderstandings and miscommunications, and it's good that, we could sit down and speak honestly about it and, be able to level with each other.
Yeah, I think, and just in closing here, I want to challenge people that if you think somebody is the most evil person in the world, man, just have the conversation. Like, it's pretty simple to sit down and have.
Stop trying to win an argument and just have the conversation. Is that not something I say all the fucking time?
Conversation, and not to allow ourselves to think that people are irredeemable when you don't even know their backstories. So lesson learned. I got to stop here because baby is hungry. So stop there.
Baby
Absolutely.
is hungry. Yeah. Wah, wah, wah. All right. Well, shout out to all of the donations we are putting up on the screen. You guys made this happen. You guys made this happen. It is time to rage. It is time to rage. Do we miss anything else here? What does this say? Disciples, don't forget to make sure that the after party starts by being in the voice channel as soon as the stream ends. Don't be a sissy and wait for everybody else to join first, because then nobody will join. I promise you, if you are in the voice channel, I will be there. If nobody is there, I'm gonna go, see if I can get on Raging Tomato. I might clip up some videos, but I owe you, and I want to hang out with you. But you have to be there. You have to be there. Oh, we got a Maverick Defender. Any relation to a Maverick named Frank? Jesus is Asian because Israel is in Asia. Jesus was Asian. Israel in Asia. Jerusalem in Asia. All right. Well, thank you for the geography lesson. Milo and the gay fish. Hell yeah. All right. Are we ready? Y'all gonna pay yourselves, right? Y'all gonna pay yourselves. You paid me. Now it's time to pay yourselves, guys. We've got what, 45 push-ups? Right? 35 push-ups. 35 push-ups. There we go. 35 push-ups. I can math. I know math and stuff. All right, if you can't do 35, do 30. If you can't do 30, do 20. If you can't do 20, do 10. If you can't do any of those, do some girl push-ups. Pay yourselves. You gotta earn it. All right, 35. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Just a little break. I'm not done. All right, 5 more. We got this. 1, 2. Oh shit. 3, 4. Oh fuck. We got it. One push up. And 1. For good luck. Let's fucking go. I'm tired. That sucked. That was not fun. But oh my goodness. Thank you so very, very much, guys. Again, big shout out to all of the donations. You guys are amazing. And not only you're helping out the channel, helping out the community, but helping out these puny little arms. They're getting there. Thank you so very, very much, guys. Again, it is now time for the after party. I hope to see, you know what? I'm going to we got Trey in there already. There we go. Shout out to Trey. Shout out to all of the disciples. Once again, guys, this is Morty, and I have been your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Until next time, guys, we are out of here. Peace.